Hey there, beautiful soul. Welcome back to Sleepy Atom. This is our quiet little haven where the night feels safe, where the day's weight slips gently away, and where the softest, most loving stories carry us across the kindest bridge into sleep. Tonight we're letting everything heavy sink away. We're only keeping warmth, peace, and the gentle promise that you are deeply, perfectly held. If you're already tucked in, take one slow breath with me. In through the nose. Hold it softly and let it go. Perfect. Before we drift into tonight's journey, please tap that like button so this little light of comfort can reach more tired hearts. Subscribe and ring the bell if you want to fall asleep here often. And whisper in the comments where you're listening from tonight and what time it is there. I love knowing we're all breathing together under the same stars. Tonight's story is the third in our series of the gentlest near-death experiences ever told. It's called The Garden at the Bottom of the Lake. Close your eyes whenever you're ready. I'll be right here, speaking softly every step of the way, until you're peacefully, perfectly asleep. The car slipped quietly under the surface, the way a tired child finally lets go and sinks into warm bath water. Eleanor felt the cold water rise around her ankles, her knees, her waist. No panic, only a strange, heavy calm, as though her body had decided to stop fighting long before her mind caught up. The world above grew distant, headlights dimming through the windshield, bubbles rising in slow silver spirals, the faint sound of rain on the roof muffled into something almost like lullaby. She closed her eyes for what she thought was the last time, a single thought drifting through the tiredness. I'm sorry I didn't make it home to you. Then the water changed. It wasn't cold anymore. It wrapped around her like warm silk, gentle as the blanket her grandmother used to tuck under her chin on winter nights. The pressure that should have crushed her lungs simply wasn't there. She opened her eyes, expecting darkness, and found instead a soft, diffused light, golden green, the color of sunlight filtered through summer leaves. She was sinking, yes, but slowly, gracefully, the way a feather drifts downward in still air. Her seatbelt unfastened itself, or perhaps it had never been fastened at all, and she floated free of the car, arms spreading as naturally as if she'd done this 1,000 times before. The water held her, not like drowning, like being cradled. She drew a breath out of habit and found she could. The water flowed into her lungs warm and easy, tasting faintly of rain on lilac bushes and the particular freshness of childhood lakes after spring thaw. There was no fear, only wonder, soft and growing like the first hint of dawn. The car settled gently on the lake bed below, headlights dimming to a peaceful glow before winking out altogether. Elena drifted downward beside it, hair floating around her face like dark seaweed, dress billowing in slow motion. The lake bed wasn't dark or murky, it was beautiful, soft sand scattered with pearls that caught the light and sent it dancing upward, shells glowing faintly like tiny lanterns. Fish drifted past curiously, scales flashing memories, the goldfish bowl from her childhood bedroom, the trout her father had taught her to catch on quiet mornings, the aquarium she and her daughter had watched for hours on rainy Saturdays. She reached the bottom as lightly as a leaf settling on still water. Her bare feet, when had she lost her shoes, touched the sand, and it welcomed her, warm and yielding, like the sun-heated beach of every perfect summer day rolled into one. Above her, the surface shimmered far away, a silver ceiling rippling gently. Below, the garden waited, and Elena, held perfectly by water that felt like love itself, took her first step forward. She breathed, not out of effort or desperation, but as naturally as she had in her mother's arms as an infant. The water filled her lungs warm and easy, tasting of rain on warm pavement, and the particular freshness of mountain streams in spring. There was no burn, no panic, only the gentle realization that breathing here was different, deeper, as if she were taking in life itself rather than air. Elena floated downward, arms spreading wide, letting the water carry her the way it had always carried her in dreams, weightless, cradled, perfectly safe. She drew another breath, deeper this time, and felt something vast and gentle settle in her chest. The pain that had lived there for years, the quiet ache of loss and tiredness and roads not taken, loosened its grip and drifted away like silt stirred from the lake bed. She breathed in memories, the scent of her daughter's hair after bath time, the particular warmth of her husband's hand on her back during labor, the way her own mother's hugs had smelled of lavender and safety. Each breath released something heavy and took in something light. Forgiveness, wonder, the quiet certainty that everything difficult was over. The water held her lungs gently, expanding them with warmth that felt like being filled with sunlight. She laughed, a soft bubble of sound that rose upward in perfect spheres, and the lake responded, fish circling closer in gentle curiosity, their scales flashing scenes of every time she'd stood at water's edge and felt peace. Breathing here wasn't survival, it was celebration. The simple, perfect joy of being alive in a way she'd forgotten was possible. Each inhale tasted of specific kindnesses, the rain that had cooled fevered brows, the mist from waterfalls on family hikes, the gentle steam of tea shared during hard conversations. Eleanor drew breath after breath, deeper and easier each time, feeling her body lighten until she floated downward like a feather in warm air. The water cradled every part of her, lungs, heart, the quiet places where sorrow had lived, filling them with something that felt like pure love, made liquid. She was breathing without fear for the first time in years, perhaps ever. The realization settled gentle and complete. She didn't need to fight anymore. She only needed to receive. The lake held her perfectly, breathing with her in perfect rhythm. And Elena, light, whole and radiant with quiet wonder, let the water carry her deeper into the garden that waited below. The light beneath the surface wasn't the dim green she expected. It was golden, warm. The color of late afternoon sun filtered through leaves and water into something softer, richer, more alive. It lived everywhere, in the gentle currents that brushed her skin like kind hands, in the faint glow of pearls scattered across the lake bed, in the way the water itself seemed to shimmer within a radiance. Eleanor drifted downward through this living light, feeling it soak into her like warm oil after a long day. It wasn't bright or harsh, it was gentle, the particular glow of being completely seen and loved without condition. The light tasted of every perfect afternoon spent reading in sunbeams, smelled of lilacs blooming outside open windows, felt like the quiet moment when worry finally loosens its grip. Fish swam through it in slow, graceful arcs, their scales catching and scattering the glow into tiny rainbows that danced across her skin. Each fish carried a memory, the goldfish she'd won at a fair as a child, the trout her father had taught her to catch on quiet mornings, the tropical fish she and her daughter had watched for hours in pet store tanks, dreaming of oceans they'd never seen. The light deepened as she descended, shifting through layers of gold and green and rose, the exact colors of every sunset she'd ever watched with loved ones, every dawn that had promised new beginnings. It wrapped around her like the softest blanket, dissolving the last faint shadows of earthly pain. Elena reached out a hand and the light responded, gathering in her palm like warm honey, pulsing gently in rhythm with her heart. It held no source she could see, yet it lived everywhere, in every droplet, every grain of sand, every gentle current that carried her downward. The light beneath the surface was love made visible, patient, persistent, eternal. It had been waiting here all along, shining quietly for every traveler who finally let go and sank into its embrace. She floated through it slowly, letting it fill every empty place, the quiet grief of lost years, the ache of roads not taken, the small sorrows that had accumulated like silt. The light dissolved them gently, replacing them with warmth that felt like coming home after the longest journey. The lake bed drew closer now, sand glowing softly, pearls catching and scattering the light into gentle constellations. The garden waited below, bathed in this living glow. Eleanor drifted downward, held perfectly by light that had always been there, waiting to welcome her. She was almost home, and the light, gentle, generous, and eternal, carried her the rest of the way. The lily pads were enormous, wide as small islands, their surfaces soft and velvety, edged in the gentlest green that caught the underwater light and turned it into something almost edible. Elena drifted closer, marveling at how they floated just above the lake bed, strong enough to hold weight, yet delicate as dreams. She reached out to touch one, expecting it to sink beneath her fingers. Instead, it welcomed her, surface warm and slightly resilient, like the best garden lawn after rain. She settled onto it slowly, knees first, then sitting back on her heels, the pad adjusting perfectly to hold her without tipping. The texture was extraordinary, cool at first touch like evening grass, then warming to match her own temperature, releasing faint scent of water lilies from childhood ponds and the particular freshness of rain on leaves. Tiny veins of light pulsed gently through the pad, matching her heartbeat, as if the lily itself was glad she'd arrived. From her seat, the lake bed stretched beautiful and intimate, soft sands scattered with pearls that glowed faintly, shells arranged in patterns that felt like quiet messages, gentle currents carrying tiny fish that darted like living sparkles. Above, the surface shimmered far away, sunlight filtering down in golden columns that danced across everything. Elena shifted to sit cross-legged, the lily pad expanding slightly to give her room. It rocked gently, not with the instability of earthly boats, but with the particular comfort of being held, cradled by water and leaf and light. Other lily pads drifted nearby, some empty and waiting, others holding gentle figures who turned with smiles of recognition. A woman waved from one, her face carrying the particular warmth of shared ordinary miracles. A child sat on another, legs dangling in water that glowed around small toes. The lily pad beneath Elena responded to her wonder, surface warming further, edges curling up slightly, like arms offering embrace. She lay back slowly, letting it hold her completely, the pad molding perfectly to her shape, like the best bed after the longest day. Above her, the water's surface rippled gently, sending down patterns of light that played across her skin like gentle fingers. Fish swam overhead in slow circles, their movements creating tiny currents that rocked her lily pad in perfect lullaby rhythm. She was held, completely, perfectly, by something vast and gentle that had been waiting to carry her weight. The garden stretched around her in every direction, beautiful and intimate, ready for whatever exploration or rest her heart needed. Elena closed her eyes, letting the lily pad rock her softly. She was home. And the lily pads, gentle, generous, and big enough to sit on, waited to hold whoever needed their particular comfort next. The fish moved through the water like living brush strokes, their scales catching the golden green light and scattering it into gentle rainbows that danced across Elena's skin. They weren't ordinary fish, they were memories made fluid, each one carrying a specific moment of joy she had almost forgotten in the long years of earthly struggle. The first to approach was a small goldfish, bright as the one she'd won at a fair when she was 7. It swam slow circles around her, tail flicking gently, releasing tiny bubbles that rose upward and burst into scenes. Her mother's delighted laugh as Elena carried the plastic bag home, the careful placement of the bowl on her bedroom windowsill, the quiet hours spent watching it swim while dreams of oceans formed in a child's heart. Another fish, this one longer, silver with hints of blue, drifted closer, its movements graceful as the trout her father had taught her to catch on quiet mountain mornings. As it passed, the water around it shimmered with memory. Dawn mist rising off the lake, her father's patient hands guiding hers on the rod, the particular thrill when the line went taut and the fish fought with honorable strength before being released back to the water with whispered thanks. Elena reached out instinctively, and the fish didn't flee. They swam through her fingers like warm silk, leaving trails of light that soaked into her skin. A school of tiny tropical fish followed, bright as the aquarium she and her daughter Sophia had visited on rainy Saturdays, pressing small hands to glass while dreaming of coral reefs and faraway oceans. These fish carried the particular joy of ordinary motherhood, the way Sophia's eyes had widened at clownfish darting through anemones, the quiet pride of answering endless questions, the gentle ache of watching her child discover wonder. The fish swam through memories without disturbing them, circling her heart, brushing her cheeks, weaving patterns that told stories only she would understand. One large, gentle koi drifted close enough for her to see her own reflection in its scale. Not the tired woman who had driven off the bridge, but every age she'd ever been, child chasing minnows in shallow streams, young mother teaching Sophia to skip stones, older woman finding quiet joy in garden ponds. They released bubbles that rose slowly, each one containing a specific kindness. The neighbor who'd shared goldfish starters when hers died, the stranger at the pet store who'd helped choose the perfect tank for Sophia's 10th birthday, her father's quiet pride when she caught her first fish on her own. The fish didn't demand attention, they simply offered it, swimming through her memories like gentle caretakers, dusting forgotten treasures. Elena felt tears rise, but they dissolved into the water before falling, becoming part of the lake's gentle glow. She was surrounded now, held in a living constellation of every moment water had brought her peace. The fish adjusted their patterns to match her breathing, slow circles for reflection, joyful spirals for celebration, gentle weaves for quiet healing. The lakebed garden stretched below, waiting patiently. The fish led her downward without hurry, their movements creating currents that carried her like the kindest hands. She was home, and the fish, gentle, generous, and swimming through memories, waited to guide whoever needed their particular comfort next. The swing hung from nothing visible, no rope, no chain, only the gentle certainty of something stronger than physics holding it perfectly in place. Elena drifted toward it slowly, drawn by the particular comfort of every swing she'd ever loved. The tire swing her father had hung from the old oak, the playground swings where she'd pushed Sophia higher and higher while her daughter's laughter rang like bells, the porch swing where she and her husband had sat in quiet evenings watching fireflies. The seat was wide and welcoming, shaped like a gentle cradle of light woven vines and soft petals. She settled onto it carefully, expecting movement, but it held steady until she was fully seated, then began to rock with the exact rhythm her heart needed. Slow, soothing arcs that matched the gentle pulse of the water around her. The motion was perfect. No creaking chains, no rush of air, only the quiet whoosh of water parting and rejoining behind her. Each swing forward carried her through golden green light that tasted of childhood summers. Each swing back released faint sense of specific memories. Rubber from playground swings on hot days, rope from the tire swing after rain, wood from the porch swing warmed by years of shared evenings. Elena closed her eyes and let the swing rock her through time. She felt 7 years old again, pumping her legs to go higher, while her father's voice called, "You've got it, kiddo," from below. She felt 35, pushing Sophia with one hand while holding a baby bottle in the other, laughter mingling with her daughter's delighted screams. She felt 60, sitting beside her husband in quiet companionship, the swing's rhythm matching their breathing as they watched another generation discover its magic. The swing remembered every weight it had ever held, small children reaching for sky, young parents stealing moments of play, older couples finding comfort in gentle motion. It adjusted perfectly now, higher when joy needed expression, slower when peace called, pausing gently when reflection deepened. Fish swam alongside in graceful accompaniment, their movements syncing with the swing's arcs. Lily pads drifted below like natural footrests, ready, if she wanted, to trail her toes through warm water. The swing carried her through memories without weight, the particular joy of going high enough to see over fences, the quiet pride of teaching someone else to pump their legs, the gentle ache of watching children grow too big for swings, but never too big for love. No fear of falling came, only perfect trust. The swing was held by something vast and gentle that had been waiting to carry her since the moment she let go above. Eleanor opened her eyes to find the garden stretching below in perfect miniature, paths curving toward private wonders, flowers blooming in colors that held specific memories, the cottage waiting with windows open to warm light. The swing rocked her through deepening peace, motion matching the greater rhythm of this place where endings were only deeper beginnings. She was home, and the swing, gentle, generous, and hanging from nothing but love, waited to carry whoever needed its particular comfort next. The little sister appeared as naturally as a memory, finally allowed to surface, small and bright, exactly 5 years old forever, the age she'd been when illness took her too soon. Elena saw her first as a shimmer in the water, then as solid and real as any child chasing bubbles on a summer lawn. She wore the yellow sundress with tiny daisies their mother had sewn, hair in the same uneven pigtails Elena had helped tie that final morning. Her feet were bare, toes wiggling in the warm sand, and she smiled the particular gap-toothed grin that had once lit entire hospital rooms. "Ellie!" she called, voice carrying the particular joy of childhood discovery. The name was the one only family had used, soft and intimate, carrying every shared secret and bedtime story. Eleanor felt her heart expand beyond her chest. The particular ache of 43 years of missing transformed into pure completion. She drifted from her lily pad toward the child who had never grown older on earth, but had been waiting here, whole and radiant. Her sister met her halfway, small arms opening wide. The embrace was perfect, warm, solid, smelling of baby shampoo and playground dust, and the particular sweetness of childhood summers. Elena lifted her easily, feeling the familiar weight that had lived in her arms during hospital visits and quiet moments when their mother needed rest. "I waited," her sister said simply, head resting on Elena's shoulder with perfect trust. "I knew you'd come." Elena felt tears rise that dissolved into the water before falling, becoming part of the gentle glow. She had carried this loss quietly all her life, The guilt of being the one who lived, the ache of empty spaces at holidays, the quiet grief of a sister-shaped hole no one else quite understood. Here it was complete. Her sister's small hand found hers, fingers intertwining with the particular certainty of siblings who'd shared everything and nothing at all in their brief time together. They walked the lake bed hand in hand, her sister's bare feet leaving tiny prints that filled with light. The garden responded, flowers blooming brighter along their path, fish circling in joyful spirals, lily pads drifting closer like natural stepping stones. "I have so much to show you," her sister said, tugging her toward a grove of upside-down trees. "I kept growing things for you." The grove was beautiful. Trees rooted in the water's surface above, branches hanging down like gentle curtains, heavy with fruit that glowed softly. Her sister reached for one, a small golden orb that tasted of every peach they'd ever shared from roadside stands. They sat together on a lily pad that expanded perfectly, eating fruit that carried specific memories. Hospital jello, shared with giggles, stolen cookies from their mother's kitchen, the quiet pride of growing their first tomato plant together. Her sister leaned against her with perfect trust. "I wasn't gone," she said softly. "I was waiting, growing things, watching you be brave." Elena held her close, feeling the circle complete in ways earthly time had never allowed. They were home. And her little sister, gentle, generous, and 5 years old forever, waited to show whoever needed her particular joy next. The sand was soft as forgiveness, warm as every perfect beach day rolled into one gentle embrace. Eleanor walked barefoot with her sister's small hand in hers, toes sinking into grains that glowed faintly, each one a pearl of memory polished smooth by love's quiet persistence. The texture shifted perfectly underfoot, cool where reflection needed grounding, warm where joy called, slightly resilient like the sand at low tide where she and Sophia had built castles that the sea gently claimed. Scattered among the grains were pearls that caught the underwater light and sent it dancing upward, some small as tears, others large as childhood marbles, all glowing with specific moments. The pearl necklace her mother had worn on special occasions, the treasure pearls she and her sister had hunted in oyster shells at tourist traps, the quiet luster of ordinary days made precious by love. Her sister bent to pick one up, holding it to the light where it revealed a scene. 5-year-old her pressing a smooth stone into Elena's hand during a hospital stay, whispering, "This is magic. It'll make you big and strong so you can come home." Elena felt the memory settle warm in her chest, the particular ache of being the healthy one who got to leave while her sister stayed behind, transformed now into pure gratitude for every moment they'd shared. They walked on, the sand remembering every barefoot joy. Childhood beaches where waves chased small feet, garden paths after rain with Sophia, quiet walks along lake shores with her husband, watching sunsets paint the water gold. Shells lay scattered like quiet messages, conchs that hummed with ocean songs from family vacations, tiny cowries that held the particular delight of discoveries made with small hands, spiral shells that carried whispers of every bedtime story about mermaids and hidden worlds. Her sister collected a few, pressing them into Elena's palm with the particular seriousness of children sharing treasures. Each one released a gentle sound when held to the ear. Her mother's laugh from seaside holidays, Sophia's delighted squeals when finding the best shell, her husband's quiet "I love you" whispered during walks where waves provided rhythm. The sand adjusted to their mood, forming gentle mounds for sitting when reflection called, smooth paths for easy walking, tiny dunes where the boy from earlier memories might build castles that never washed away. Elena felt earthly weights dissolve completely with every step. The quiet guilt of surviving when her sister hadn't, the ache of roads not taken with Sophia, the small sorrows of ordinary days that had accumulated like grains. The sand held them gently, transforming them into light that settled warm in her heart. They walked on toward the garden's deeper wonders, barefoot and unhurried. They were home, and the sand, soft as forgiveness, scattered with pearls of memory, waited to hold whoever needed its particular comfort next. The trees grew upside down from the surface above, roots delicate as lace, spreading across the water's ceiling like living chandeliers, branches hanging down heavy with fruit and flowers that bloomed in impossible colors. Elena watched them sway gently in currents that felt like warm breath, leaves shimmering with light that shifted through every shade of green she'd ever loved. The trees weren't strange, they were perfect, as if nature here had decided to show its true shape. Roots reaching toward the source of all nourishment, branches offering beauty to those below. She drifted closer with her sister's hand warm in hers, marveling at how naturally they grew. Trunks thick and strong, disappearing upward into the shimmering surface, branches hanging like gentle curtains, heavy with life. Her sister tugged her toward one whose leaves glowed the exact soft green of their childhood bedroom walls. "Touch," she whispered. Elena reached up, fingers brushing leaves that felt like warm velvet. They released scent of specific memories, the maple outside their window where birds had nested every spring, the willow by the pond where they'd hidden during hide and seek, the apple tree in their grandmother's yard that had provided endless climbing and fruit. Fruit hung within easy reach, peaches that tasted of high summer in Georgia, apples crisp with autumn mornings, pears that carried the particular sweetness of quiet abundance. Her sister picked one and offered it with the particular seriousness of children sharing treasures. The first bite bloomed across Elena's tongue, juice running warm and sweet, tasting of every fruit ever shared. Peaches from roadside stands with her husband, apples picked with Sophia on crisp fall days, the stolen bites from her sister's hospital tray when nurses weren't looking. The trees responded to their presence, branches lowering gently to offer more fruit, leaves shifting to show scenes in their surfaces, family picnics under earthly trees, quiet moments of reading in dappled shade, the particular joy of climbing high enough to see the world differently. One tree's roots formed a natural swing, branches intertwining to create a seat that rocked gently in invitation. They sat together, three now, with the boy joining from his explorations, swinging slowly through the hanging canopy. The upside-down trees held them perfectly, roots drinking from eternal light above, branches offering shade and fruit and beauty below. Birds nested in the hanging boughs, singing melodies that carried every lullaby and love song ever shared beneath earthly trees. Elena felt the truth settle deep. Growth here wasn't limited by gravity or loss. Everything reached toward its source and offered its gifts freely. The trees bloomed brighter as they swung, releasing fragrance of every perfect season shared beneath their earthly counterparts. They were home. And the upside-down trees, gentle, generous, and reaching perfectly, waited to hold whoever needed their particular shade and fruit next. The picnic blanket appeared as naturally as a memory you didn't know you'd been carrying, spread across the soft lake-bed sand in perfect checkered red and white, the exact pattern of the one Elena's mother had packed for every summer outing. It was large enough for a crowd, yet intimate, edges curling gently upward like arms ready to hold whoever settled there. In the center waited a wicker basket that smelled, when opened, released the scent of every perfect picnic ever shared. Fried chicken still warm from the oven, fresh strawberries tasting of high summer, lemonade chilled just right with slices floating like tiny rafts. The food arranged itself gently. Deviled eggs with paprika sprinkled in the particular pattern her grandmother had used. Potato salad, creamy, with the dill Elena had learned to add after years of trial. Chocolate chip cookies with edges crisp and centers soft, the ones Sophia had declared the best in the world at age 8. Elena settled onto the blanket slowly, knees first, then cross-legged as she had on countless earthly picnics. The fabric was warm beneath her, woven from something softer than cotton. Memories of sun-warmed grass and the particular comfort of ordinary days made sacred by shared food. Her sister climbed on beside her, small hands already reaching for a strawberry that tasted of the patch behind their childhood home, the one where they'd picked berries until fingers were stained red and stomachs ached from sneaking too many. The boy followed, teddy bear tucked under one arm, eyes wide with the particular wonder of children discovering abundance that never runs out. The blanket adjusted perfectly, expanding to hold them comfortably, cushions appearing where backs needed support, the weave shifting to show faint patterns, embroidered initials from quilts their mother had made, stains from spilled lemonade that had become family legends, the particular wear where generations of knees had knelt to unpack baskets. They ate slowly, food tasting richer with every bite, chicken carrying the particular crisp of Sunday dinners after church, lemonade sharp and sweet with the joy of porch sitting on hot days, cookies that held the exact ratio of chips to dough Elena had perfected after years of baking with Sophia. The picnic responded to their hearts, dishes refilling gently when more was wanted, flavors shifting to match specific memories, the egg salad from beach days with her husband, the watermelon that tasted of 4th of July, sparkler nights, the quiet sandwiches shared during hospital picnics when food was the only normal thing left. Conversation rose without hurry, her sister sharing stories of picnics planned but never taken, the boy discovering flavors he'd only dreamed of, Elena tasting every ordinary day of feeding those she loved, made eternal. The blanket held them through it all, warm, giving, complete. No ants intruded, no clouds threatened rain, no one worried about time passing, only the gentle joy of abundance shared freely. When they finally leaned back content, the basket closed itself softly, ready for whoever needed its particular comfort next. The blanket remained warm and waiting. They were home, and picnics, gentle, generous, and spread on the lake bed, waited to hold whoever felt hungry for their particular kind of shared joy. The lemonade appeared in tall glasses that never emptied, condensation beading gently on the outside like morning dew. Elena lifted hers carefully, the glass cool but not cold, painted with tiny etched lemons that caught the underwater light and sent it dancing. The first sip tasted of forgiveness, sharp and sweet, carrying the particular tang of every summer day spent cooling off after arguments or hard work. It bloomed across her tongue like the lemonade her mother had made from scratch, squeezing lemons with hands that never complained, adding just enough sugar to balance the tart without masking it. She tasted specific moments, the pitcher on the porch after mowing the lawn with her father, sweat cooling as they sat in silence that needed no words. The lemonade stand Sophia had set up at age 7, proceeds proudly donated to the animal shelter, the quiet glasses shared with her husband during evenings when worries felt too big and cold, drinks made space for truth. The lemonade adjusted perfectly, more tart when old bitterness needed dissolving, sweeter when joy called for celebration, gentler when quiet healing was required. Each swallow carried gratitude for hands that had stirred through tired evenings, for the quiet act of offering something cool and kind when heat, physical or emotional, threatened to overwhelm. Her sister sipped beside her, eyes closing in pure delight. "It tastes like the day you forgave me for breaking your doll," she said softly. Eleanor felt the memory rise gentle and complete. 8 years old, furious over a treasured doll's arm snapped off, her sister's tearful face as she offered a dandelion bouquet in apology. The lemonade had been their mother's quiet mediation. 2 glasses on the porch, time to cool off, forgiveness arriving as naturally as the sweet tart balance. The boy drank deeply, lemonade tasting of every hot day spent playing until exhausted, the particular relief of something cold offered by loving hands. He smiled with a moustache of condensation, joy pure and uncomplicated. Margaret would have loved this, Elena thought. The particular efficiency of lemonade that cooled bodies and tempers alike. The thought carried no ache now, only warmth. The lemonade responded by shifting to Margaret's exact recipe. Extra lemon, touch of mint, served with love that needed no words. They passed glasses gently, sharing sips that carried specific kindnesses. The neighbor who'd brought lemonade during grief, the quiet offerings during hospital stays, the ordinary afternoons when a cold drink had been the perfect expression of care. The lemonade held them through deepening peace. No brain chill, no sticky fingers, no sadness when glasses emptied. They simply refilled with whatever the heart needed next. When they finally set them down, the glasses dissolved gently into light that settled warm in their chests. The picnic continued, lighter now with forgiveness made liquid and shared. They were home, and lemonade, gentle, generous, and tasting like forgiveness, waited to cool whoever needed its particular sweetness next. The pain in Elena's chest didn't fade. It transformed, gentle as dawn breaking over still water. One moment it was the crushing weight that had lived there for years, grief over her sister's early loss, quiet regrets of ordinary motherhood, the ache of roads not taken with Sophia, the final heaviness of letting go above the surface. Then the butterflies came. They rose from her chest in a gentle flurry, not metaphorical but real, wings soft as forgiveness, colors shifting through every shade of healing, rose for love persisted, amber for ordinary days made sacred, indigo for peace that passed understanding. They didn't burst free dramatically. They simply unfolded, wings drying in the warm waterlight, lifting away the pain with each beat. Elena watched them rise in wonder, feeling her chest lighten with every departure. The butterflies carried specific weights. One held the guilt of surviving when her sister hadn't, another the ache of missed moments with Sophia, others the small sorrows of earthly limitations. They circled her once in gentle farewell, wings brushing her cheeks with the particular softness of butterfly kisses her daughter had given as a child. Then they flew upward toward the surface, leaving trails of light that spelled out quiet truths. You did your best. Love was enough. You are free. The transformation was complete. No scar, no emptiness, only perfect space filled with warmth that felt like coming home after the longest journey. Her chest rose and fell with breaths that tasted of pure possibility, light, expansive, whole. Her sister watched with shining eyes, small hand pressed to her own chest, in shared wonder. The boy laughed softly as butterflies landed briefly on his nose, wings tickling gently. The butterflies gathered above them in a living constellation, wings beating in rhythm with hearts finally unburdened. They carried the pain upward toward the surface, where it dissolved into ordinary rain. Tears the earth needed, transformed into nourishment for new growth. Elena felt her body lighten completely, as if the butterflies had taken not just pain, but every earthly density. She rose slightly from the lily pad, floating in perfect balance, held by water, by light, by love that had waited patiently for this release. The garden responded, flowers blooming brighter in celebration, fish leaping in joyful arcs, upside-down trees releasing fragrance of new beginnings. She breathed deeply, chest expanding with pure joy, the particular freedom of being unburdened at last. The butterflies completed their ascent, dissolving into surface light that sent down gentle ripples of completion. Elena settled back onto the lily pad, whole in ways earthly life had only hinted at. They were home, and butterflies, gentle, generous, and born from pain transformed, waited to carry whatever needed releasing next. The flowers waited in quiet abundance, blooming in colors that existed only here, hues that tasted of specific memories, smelled of forgiveness, felt like homecoming, made visible. Elena drifted among them slowly, drawn by petals that opened gently at her approach, releasing fragrance of every garden ever loved. She chose slowly without hurry. Time here allowed perfect deliberation. First arose the exact deep red of the ones her husband had brought on ordinary anniversaries, carrying the particular scent of his quiet just because. Its petals were soft as forgiveness, thorns dissolved completely. She held it to her heart, feeling the memories settle warm and complete. Next came daisies bright as Sophia's childhood bouquets, fistfuls picked from roadside patches, presented with grass-stained knees and shining eyes. They bloomed in patterns that spelled out her daughter's name in gentle cursive, releasing scent of summer fields and pure childhood offering. Her sister guided her to forget-me-nots, the soft blue of their mother's eyes, blooming in clusters that held tiny photographs, hospital beds, brightened by dandelion bouquets, quiet moments of shared secrets, the particular joy of ordinary sisterhood cut short but never ended. The flowers responded to touch, opening wider when memories needed savoring, releasing pollen that settled warm on skin like blessing, shifting colors to match whatever healing called. Deep rose for love persisted through hardship, gentle yellow for ordinary joys, soft white for peace that passed understanding. Elena gathered slowly, arms filling with impossible abundance that never weighed her down. Each flower carried specific truths, the tulips from Sophia's first garden that had bloomed despite her beginner mistakes, the sunflowers Margaret had planted, facing the kitchen window so they'd smile at her while washing dishes, the wildflowers her sister had picked in dreams that now bloomed eternal. The garden held every season at once, spring bulbs pushing through autumn leaves, summer blooms in winter light, all in perfect harmony. Bees drifted lazily, wings painted with family portraits, gathering nectar that tasted of gratitude. No flowers wilted. They bloomed brighter with every choice, ready to fill whatever space needed their particular beauty. Elena's arms overflowed with perfect abundance, roses and daisies and forget-me-nots, intertwined, carrying the particular fragrance of every act of love expressed through growing things. Her sister added a final bloom, a dandelion gone to seed, perfect for wishes that always came true here. They carried their harvest toward the picnic blanket that waited, fragrance trailing like gentle blessing. The garden bloomed brighter behind them, ready for whoever needed to choose flowers that bloomed only after earthly leaving. They were home, and flowers, gentle, generous, and blooming in colors of completed love, waited to fill whatever heart needed their particular beauty next. Rising wasn't hurried or dramatic. It was gentle as dawn, as natural as waking from the best dream. Elena felt the choice arrive quietly, the option to drift upward when ready, or to stay forever in the garden's perfect embrace. The water held her in perfect neutrality, no pull downward, no push upward, only the gentle certainty that whatever she chose would be right. She floated among the lily pads, flowers resting in her arms, her sister's small hand in hers, considering the quiet wonder of perfect freedom. The surface shimmered far above, sunlight filtering down in golden columns that carried hints of the world she'd left. Ordinary rain now nourishing spring growth, roads leading to places where Sophia still walked and loved and lived. Rising would be simple, a gentle drift upward through warm water, through light that dissolved into ordinary air, lungs adjusting without effort to breathe what waited above. She could visit any time, the garden promised, step back through the surface when needed, held always by love that spanned both worlds. Staying felt equally perfect, the garden deepening with every moment, new wonders appearing as needed, paths leading to private groves where specific memories bloomed eternal, clearings for gatherings with family who'd arrived before, quiet spaces for simple being. Her sister squeezed her hand. "Stay as long as you like," she said softly. "We have forever, and above has its own forever too." The boy drifted nearby on his lily pad, teddy bear clutched close, watching with the particular trust of childhood that knows no real separation. Elena felt both choices settle warm in her chest, equally right, equally loved. Rising would mean returning changed, lighter, whole, carrying the garden's peace into ordinary days that would feel extraordinary now. Staying would mean deepening into wonders tailored exactly to her heart's quiet joys. The water held her perfectly between. Warm silk cradling her weight, light shifting, to match whatever peace called most. She drifted slowly, letting the choice unfold without pressure. The flowers in her arms bloomed brighter, releasing fragrance of both worlds, lilacs from earthly springs, impossible colors unique to this garden's eternal bloom. Time stretched generously, giving exactly what was needed, moments to savor the garden's completeness, quiet consideration of return. No urgency touched her, only perfect trust that love held both options gently. She was held completely, perfectly, by water and light and family that spanned every world. Rising or staying, both were home, and the garden, gentle, generous, and eternal, waited to hold her exactly as long as her heart needed, ready for whatever choice love guided next. The cottage appeared as naturally as a memory you've carried gently all your life, nestled at the garden's heart where paths converged in quiet welcome. It wasn't large or grand, just exactly right. White clapboards glowing softly in the underwater light, windows open wide with curtains drifting like gentle veils, a porch that wrapped around like arms ready to hold whoever arrived tired from earthly journeys. Eleanor drifted toward it slowly, flowers still cradled in her arms, her sister's small hand warm in hers. The cottage seemed to breathe in quiet anticipation, walls shifting subtly to the particular warmth of every home ever loved. The farmhouse where she'd grown up with creaking floors and the smell of bread baking, the tiny apartment where she and her husband had begun married life with second-hand furniture and boundless dreams, the house where Sophia had taken her first steps and spoken her first words. The door stood open, spilling golden light that felt like late afternoon sun on the best days, warm without heat, inviting without demand. A welcome mat lay on the porch woven from lake grasses, spelling out her name in gentle cursive that shimmered when stepped on. Inside, the air smelled of lavender, and fresh laundry dried on the line, of coffee perking and bread cooling on the sill, the particular comfort of ordinary homes where love lived in small details. The floors were wide pine boards that remembered every footfall, her mother's quick steps while cooking, Sophia's toddler patters chasing the cat, her husband's steady tread coming home after long days. Furniture arranged itself perfectly, a rocking chair by the window shaped exactly for reading with a child in your lap, a kitchen table set for however many felt like family that moment, a sofa deep enough for afternoon naps with someone you love. The windows opened to the water in every direction, views shifting gently to whatever comforted most. The garden blooming brighter outside one, the upside-down trees hanging like living curtains outside another, the surface far above rippling with ordinary rain that nourished earthly growth. Elena stepped inside, feeling the cottage adjust its light to perfect welcome, lamps glowing softly without source, candles flickering in gentle rhythm with her heartbeat. The walls held faint impressions of every home she'd ever made. The wallpaper pattern from her childhood bedroom, the paint color she and her husband had chosen together for their first real house, the murals Sophia had painted on her nursery wall. Her sister ran ahead to the kitchen, small hands trailing along counters that remembered every meal cooked with love. The boy followed, teddy bear dangling, discovering corners shaped for childhood wonders, a window seat with cushions perfect for hiding, a nook where toys from every generation waited patiently. The cottage held them all in perfect embrace, warm, familiar, complete. No dust gathered, no repairs needed, no worry about time passing. They were home, and the cottage, gentle, generous, with windows open to the water, waited to hold whoever needed its particular welcome next. The table was already set when they entered the kitchen, simple and perfect, with places for however many hearts felt like gathering. It stretched long enough for family, yet intimate, wood glowing softly, with the particular warmth of every table ever shared around. The scarred oak, where Eleanor had done homework under her mother's gentle guidance, the tiny formica one in their first apartment, where she and her husband had eaten spaghetti off mismatched plates, the big pine table where Sophia had celebrated every birthday with cakes that leaned but tasted of love. Places appeared as they approached, one chair shaped exactly for Elena's height, with the gentle curve her back had always needed. Another for Margaret's memory, though she waited above, a booster that grew perfectly for her sister's eternal 5 years, a small one for the boy with arms just right for teddy bear resting. The settings were simple but cherished. Plates from her mother's everyday china with the tiny crack in one rim from the day they'd laughed too hard at supper. Glasses etched with stars like the set saved for special occasions that had become ordinary because love made every day special. Napkins folded in the particular way her grandmother had taught. Simple fans that held secrets of shared meals across generations. Candles floated gently above the table, flames steady in the water's embrace, casting light that shifted to match whatever warmth was needed. Golden for celebration, soft rose for gentle truths, amber for quiet gratitude. The table adjusted without effort, lengthening if more arrived, shortening for intimate talks, surface warming where hands rested in need of holding. It remembered every meal, the quiet soups during illnesses when presence nourished more than food, the celebratory roasts for milestones big and small, the ordinary sandwiches shared during busy days when sitting together was the real feast. Elena settled into her place, feeling the chair hold her perfectly. No ache, no need to shift, only the particular comfort of being exactly where she belonged. Her sister climbed up beside her, small legs swinging, eyes bright with anticipation. The table set itself gently for 2 at first, then more as love called. A place for the boy with a booster shaped like childhood wonder, another for Margaret's memory glowing softly. Spaces waiting for whoever felt drawn to this particular gathering. No one hurried. The table gave exactly what was needed. Space for quiet reflection, room for shared stories, warmth for hearts finally at rest. They were home, and the table, gentle, generous, and already set for 2 or 2,000. waited to hold whoever needed its particular comfort next. The chair remembered exactly how she sat, the particular curve of her back after years of holding others, the way she leaned slightly left when deep in thought, the gentle slump of perfect rest after long days. It appeared as they entered the cosy sitting room off the kitchen, shaped from living wood that glowed softly, cushions moulding perfectly, to hold her without effort. Elena sank into it slowly, feeling it adjust with the particular tenderness of something that had been waiting decades to carry her weight again. The chair cradled her completely, supporting the places earthly chairs had never quite reached, lower back that had ached from carrying babies and worries, shoulders rounded from years of showing up, neck that had craned to watch children play or stars appear. It wasn't just comfortable, it was known. The wood remembered every chair she'd ever loved, the rocking one where she'd nursed Sophia through colic nights, the porch glider where she and her husband had shared quiet evenings, the hospital recliner that had held her through vigils. Her sister climbed into her lap without asking, the particular trust of children who know they belong. The chair expanded gently, shaping itself to hold them both, deeper for Elena's taller frame, with a perfect dip for small legs to dangle or curl. The boy settled nearby in a chair that grew to his exact size, teddy bear resting contentedly on the arm. The room adjusted its light to perfect intimacy, soft glow from floating lanterns, windows showing views of the garden blooming brighter in quiet celebration. The chair rocked them gently, though no one pushed. Slow arcs that matched the rhythm of hearts finally unburdened. It remembered every way she'd needed holding, as a child on her father's lap during thunderstorms, as a young mother rocking fussy babies, as an older woman holding grandchildren while reading stories in voices that trembled slightly with age, but never with love. Elena felt the chair hold her through deepening peace, no need to shift or adjust, no ache of earthly weariness, only perfect support that said, "Rest now, you're home." Her sister's head rested against her chest, small hand finding hers with familiar ease. The chair responded, warming where memories of this exact weight surfaced, rocking slower when quiet healing called. The room held them in gentle embrace. Walls that absorbed sound yet amplified presence, light that shifted to whatever comfort needed, soft rose for gentle truths, warm amber for shared joy. They sat in silence that needed no filling, the particular completeness of being held exactly right after a lifetime of holding others. The chair remembered everything and required nothing. They were home. And the chair, gentle, generous, and remembering exactly how you sit, waited to hold whoever needed its particular comfort next. The bread was still warm from an oven she couldn't see, rising gently on the kitchen counter, as if it had been waiting for exactly this moment. Elena lifted it carefully, the crust golden and perfect, releasing steam that carried the particular scent of every loaf ever baked with love. Yeast and butter from her mother's Sunday mornings, the experimental whole wheat Margaret had perfected during their lean years, the simple white Sophia had shaped with small hands under Eleanor's guidance. The loaf was large enough for sharing yet intimate, shaped with the particular care of hands that had kneaded through tired evenings and joyful celebrations alike. She broke it gently, steam rising in perfect spirals that spelled out quiet gratitude in mid-air before dissolving into warmth. The inside was soft and airy, tasting of specific memories. The heel Sophia had always fought for because it was the best part, the slices buttered thick during childhood snow days, the quiet pieces shared with her husband over late-night talks when worries needed something warm to hold. Margaret would have loved this, Elena thought. The particular efficiency of bread that fed bodies and souls with equal gentleness. The thought carried only warmth now, no ache. Her sister reached for a piece, small fingers tearing it carefully, eyes closing in pure delight as flavor bloomed. The bread their mother had baked during hospital stays, carried warm in foil with quiet promises of home. The boy accepted his share with both hands, Teddy Bear momentarily set aside, eating with the particular seriousness of children, discovering abundance that never runs out. They ate slowly, passing the loaf without hurry, tearing pieces that never diminished it, butter appearing soft and sweet on a dish that refilled itself gently. Each bite carried deeper flavors, the bread from lean times, stretched with love to feed unexpected guests, the celebratory loaves from holidays when abundance felt miraculous, the quiet slices during illnesses when nourishment was measured in small, steady offerings. The kitchen held them perfectly, warm light from floating lanterns, windows showing garden views where wheat grew in gentle waves, counters glowing with readiness for whatever meal love needed next. The bread responded to their hearts, crustier for those who loved the chew, softer for gentle memories, flavored with herbs from specific gardens tended together. When the loaf finally rested back on the counter, whole again, ready for whoever felt hungry next, the kitchen settled into quiet satisfaction. They rose lighter, carrying the taste of bread still warm from an oven you can't see. Love's quiet persistence made edible. The cottage breathed around them, content. They were home. And bread, gentle, generous, and always warm, waited to feed whoever needed its particular nourishment next. The smell of lavender and fresh laundry drifted through the cottage like the gentlest welcome, wrapping around Elena with the particular comfort of every ordinary day, made sacred by small acts of care. It wasn't just scent, it was memory made airborne. Sheets dried on the line in summer breeze, lavender sachets tucked into drawers by her mother's careful hands, the particular freshness of Sophia's hair after bath time when Elena had buried her face in damp curls and breathed in new life. The fragrance grew stronger as they moved through rooms that opened seamlessly, a laundry porch where clothes hung drying though no sun touched them, releasing scent of specific wash days, sun-warmed cotton from childhood summers, the particular softness of baby clothes folded with wonder, the quiet comfort of hospital gowns made gentle by home washing. Eleanor paused in a room that appeared gently, a quiet space with open windows where curtains drifted in unseen breezes, carrying lavender from gardens that bloomed eternal below. A bed weighted with sheets turned down perfectly, smelling of line-dried freshness and the particular safety of childhood bedrooms after nightmares. The smell held every ordinary miracle, her mother's hand smoothing sheets with hospital corners sharp as love, Margaret's quiet efficiency, folding tiny clothes while humming lullabies, Eleanor's own careful tucking in of Sophia, with whispered stories, until sleep came. Her sister ran to the bed and dove in with delighted abandon, burrowing into pillows that smelled of every safe night ever shared. The boy followed, Teddy Bear clutched close, rolling in the particular joy of children discovering beds that hold without limit. The lavender deepened, carrying specific healing, the sachets placed in drawers during grief to ease harsh memories, the fresh sheets after illnesses when health returned, the quiet comfort of clean starts after hard days. Elena settled beside them, the bed expanding perfectly to hold 3 generations of ordinary love. The sheets were cool at first touch, then warmed gently, releasing scent of every bedtime ritual. Lavender water sprinkled on pillows, fresh pajamas warmed by the oven on winter nights, the particular softness of being tucked in by hands that never hurried. The smell wrapped them completely, gentle, persistent, complete. No mustiness of earthly storage, no harsh detergent, only pure expression of care made eternal. They lay in quiet contentment, lavender and fresh laundry breathing with them in perfect rhythm. The cottage held them gently, windows open to water that glowed softly. They were home, and the smell of lavender and fresh laundry, gentle, generous, and eternal, waited to comfort whoever needed its particular embrace next. The dress appeared as softly as a memory you've carried close to your heart, hanging in the cottage wardrobe on a padded hanger that smelled faintly of cedar and lavender sachets. Elena recognized it immediately. The simple cotton sundress with tiny embroidered daisies she'd worn on the best day of her life, the afternoon she and her husband had taken newborn Sophia to the lake for her first picnic. The fabric was fresh as the day she'd bought it on impulse at a little shop during their honeymoon, soft blue with white daisies scattered like gentle stars. It had been her favorite for ordinary summer days, pushing Sophia on swings, gardening with dirt under her nails, quiet evenings when the three of them sat on the porch, watching fireflies. She lifted it from the hanger, feeling the cotton warm beneath her fingers as if it had been waiting in sunlight. The dress remembered every moment, the way the skirt had swirled when she danced with her husband under backyard string lights, the grass stains from sitting on blankets with Sophia, the particular softness after countless washings with love. Elena slipped it on slowly, the fabric settling over her skin like the gentlest embrace. It fit perfectly, not the way it had in youth or later years when bodies changed, but the way it had always been meant to, comfortable, flattering, allowing free movement for whatever joy called. The hem brushed her knees exactly right, sleeves ending where arms felt most natural, neckline framing her collarbone with the particular grace of ordinary beauty. The daisies glowed faintly, as if each embroidered stitch carried a memory. Sophia's small fingers tracing them while nursing, her husband's quiet, "You look beautiful," whispered on ordinary Tuesdays, her own reflection in mirrors on days when she'd felt most herself. Her sister watched with shining eyes. "You wore that when you were happiest," she said softly. Elena twirled once, slowly, the skirt flaring gently in the water's warm embrace. The dress responded, fabric light as breath, moving with her as naturally as it had on earthly summer days. It carried no weight of time or regret, only the particular joy of being clothed in love's quiet persistence. The boy clapped delightedly, teddy bear raised in celebration. The cottage adjusted its light to perfect afternoon glow, as if sunlight filtered through leaves just for this moment. Elena looked at herself in a mirror that appeared gently. Reflection, showing every age she'd worn the dress, all held in perfect harmony. Young mother radiant with new life, middle-aged woman comfortable in her skin, older woman wearing it one last time on a quiet day with Sophia before the accident. The dress held them all gently, completing the circle of ordinary beauty made eternal. She was home, and the dress, gentle, generous, and worn on her favorite day, waited to clothe whoever needed its particular comfort next. The dog appeared at the cottage door with the particular joy of every faithful companion who'd waited patiently for reunion. He was exactly as Elena remembered him. Golden retriever mix with one ear that flopped adorably, tail wagging in circles that threatened to shake his whole body loose. Max, gone 15 years now, crossed the Rainbow Bridge quietly in his sleep at her feet, bounded in with the energy of a puppy, paws leaving faint trails of light on the floor. He smelled of warm fur and the particular comfort of ordinary evenings, spent with head on her lap while television flickered unheard. Elena knelt without thinking, arms opening wide. Max launched himself into them with perfect trust, weight solid and warm, paws on her shoulders, wet nose pressing into her neck, with the particular enthusiasm of dogs who know they are loved beyond measure. His fur was soft as memory, carrying scents of backyard grass after mowing, lake water from swims, fetched sticks, the quiet warmth of fireside naps during winter storms. He licked her face once, gentle, not slobbery, then settled back to look at her with eyes that held every year of faithful companionship. The puppy who'd chewed her favorite shoes but learned quickly, the young dog who'd sat vigil during her divorce grief, the old gentleman who'd waited patiently each day for her return from work. Max's tail thumped against the floor in perfect rhythm, the sound echoing with every ordinary miracle of pet love, the quiet comfort of presence during lonely nights, the joyful greetings that made bad days better, the gentle understanding of animals who ask little and give everything. Her sister laughed delightedly, kneeling to bury hands in golden fur. The boy joined with pure childhood joy, teddy bear forgotten as he hugged Max around the neck. The dog responded to each touch, leaning into Elena with the particular weight of 15 years of waiting, nuzzling her sister with gentle recognition of shared, earthly moments, rolling over for the boy with playful abandon. The cottage adjusted perfectly, cushions appearing for floor sitting, treats materializing that tasted of every reward ever given, water bowl filling itself with the particular freshness of garden hoses on hot days. Max settled finally across Elena's lap, head heavy on her knee, exactly as he'd done every evening of their shared life. His breathing was steady and strong, no grey muzzle, no arthritic joints, only the perfect vitality of love made eternal. The dog remembered everything and required nothing, only presence, only the quiet joy of being together again. They were home, and Max, gentle, generous, and waiting 15 years at the door, waited to love whoever needed his particular comfort next. The paths were barefoot friendly, soft as moss and warm as sun-heated earth, winding through the garden with the particular grace of ways walked countless times in memory and dream. Elena stepped onto one slowly, feeling it adjust perfectly beneath her feet. No stones to stub toes, no mud to stick, only the gentle give of paths that remembered every joyful walk. The moss was cool at first touch, then warmed gently, releasing scent of specific memories. Forest trails with her husband hand in hand, garden paths where Sophia had learned to walk then run, quiet cemetery walks where she'd talked to her sister's stone on anniversaries. The path curved without hurry, guiding gently toward whatever wonder called next. Flowers bloomed along the edges in colors that tasted of gratitude. Deep rose for love persisted, soft yellow for ordinary joys, gentle blue for peace that passed understanding. Her sister skipped ahead, small bare feet leaving prints that filled with light. The boy followed, teddy bear tucked under one arm, discovering side paths that led to private delights, clearings where favorite toys waited, streams with fish that leapt to be petted, groves of upside-down trees perfect for climbing. The main path held Elena gently, widening when reflection called, narrowing for intimate moments. It remembered every barefoot joy, childhood streams waded with rolled-up pants, beach walks collecting shells with Sophia, quiet evening strolls with her husband watching stars appear. The moss adjusted to her mood, springy for joyful steps, softer for thoughtful ones, warm where memories of cold earthly walks surfaced. Birds followed overhead, singing melodies that carried specific lullabies and love songs from earthly paths. One stretch of the path shimmered with embedded scenes, her wedding processional down a garden aisle, Sophia's first wobbly steps toward waiting arms, quiet walks with Max when grief needed gentle movement. The path held them through deepening peace. No rush toward destination, no worry about time passing, only perfect presence on ways that led always home. When they reached a clearing where the cottage waited with porch lights glowing, the path curved gently around it, ready to continue whenever wandering called again. They stepped onto the porch, barefoot and unhurried, moss warmth lingering on soles. The cottage welcomed them with open doors and supper smells. They were home, and the paths, gentle, generous and barefoot soft, waited to carry whoever needed their particular comfort next. The garden gate opened by itself with the particular gentleness of gates that know exactly who approaches. It wasn't grand, just exactly right. White pickets painted fresh every spring in memory, climbing roses in full bloom, releasing scent of every garden ever loved. Eleanor paused at the threshold, feeling the gate swing inward with quiet welcome. No creak of rusty hinges, no need for hands, only the gentle certainty of love's quiet persistence. The roses adjusted their fragrance. Margaret's favourite deep red for passionate love, soft pink for childhood gardens with her sister, bright yellow for Sophia's experimental beds that always surprised with abundance. The gate itself was woven from memories, the pickets shaped like the one her father had built when she was small, the latch like the one she'd painted with Sophia on a lazy Saturday, the arch overhead carrying vines from every garden shared across lifetimes. Her sister darted through first, turning with shining eyes to beckon. The boy followed, teddy bear raised in triumph, as if crossing into the best adventure. Elena stepped through slowly, feeling the gate brush her shoulders like gentle hands. The threshold carried her across every garden gate ever loved, the one leading to her mother's victory plot during lean years, the rickety one to Margaret's rosebed tended through every season, the imaginary gates Sophia had drawn in childhood pictures of perfect homes. Inside, the garden expanded perfectly, paths curving toward private wonders, beds blooming with flowers that released specific memories. Tulips from Sophia's first successful planting, daisies from fistfuls her sister had picked in dreams, roses that carried Margaret's quiet just because bouquets. The gate closed softly behind them, not locking, simply completing the gentle boundary between arrival and belonging. It adjusted its height as needed, tall for adults seeking quiet reflection, lower for children chasing butterflies of light. Birds nested in the climbing roses, singing melodies that carried every garden song, her mother humming while weeding, Margaret's quiet tunes during evening watering, Sophia's made-up songs about growing things. The gate held faint impressions of every hand that had ever opened it, small, sticky ones from childhood treats, work-roughened ones from years of tending, gentle ones from older age when strength had softened but love remained strong. Elena trailed fingers along the pickets as they walked on, feeling the wood warm with shared history. The gate glowed brighter in response, roses opening wider in gentle celebration. They moved deeper into the garden, gates swinging shut with quiet contentment. They were home. And the garden gate, gentle, generous, and opening by itself, waited to welcome whoever needed its particular threshold next. The roses bloomed in the exact colour of her eyes. Margaret's eyes, deep hazel with flecks of green that caught light like forest pools after rain. Elena paused among them, drawn by petals that opened gently at her approach, releasing fragrance that carried every moment her husband's gaze had met hers, across crowded rooms or quiet kitchens. The roses weren't ordinary. They were love made visible, each bloom holding specific memories. The first rose he'd brought on their first date, slightly wilted from nervous hands, but perfect in earnestness. The bushes he'd planted along their fence the year Sophia was born, tending them through every season with the same quiet persistence he'd shown their family. The final rose left on her pillow the morning he passed, deep red and fragrant with unspoken goodbye. She reached out to touch one, expecting thorns, but found only softness, petals like velvet warmed by sun. The rose responded by deepening its color to match the exact hazel of his eyes in lamplight, the way they'd looked during quiet evenings when words weren't needed. Her sister watched with shining, 5-year-old wonder. "He's waiting," she said softly, pointing deeper into the garden where paths curved toward light that felt like homecoming. The boy sniffed a smaller bloom curiously. Teddy Bear raised to smell, too. The rose released fragrance of specific kindnesses. The bouquets brought during illnesses, the single stems tucked into lunchboxes for ordinary days, the quiet offering after arguments that needed no words. Elena gathered a few, gently, stems that needed no cutting, petals that stayed perfect forever. Each rose carried deeper truths, the persistence of love through lean years when flowers were a luxury but still appeared, the quiet pride of tending something beautiful together, the particular joy of watching Sophia discover roses and declare them Mommy's favorite. The bushes adjusted their height, taller for reaching memories, lower for small hands to pick safely. Bees drifted lazily, wings painted with scenes of shared gardening, hands dirty together planting new bushes, quiet conversations over pruning, laughter when roses bloomed brighter than expected. The roses in the color of his eyes bloomed brighter as she held them, releasing fragrance that wrapped her in perfect recognition. You were loved exactly as you were. Every ordinary day mattered. He's waiting. She carried the roses toward the cottage where light glowed warmer in welcome. The garden held them gently, roses blooming in patterns that spelled out quiet gratitude. They were home, and roses, gentle, generous, and blooming in the exact color of her eyes, waited to fill whatever heart needed their particular beauty next. The treehouse nestled in the branches of an upside-down oak, branches hanging like gentle ladders leading to a world built entirely from childhood dreams. Elena drifted upward through the water, her sister's small hand pulling her along with the particular excitement of secrets shared between siblings. The oak's roots spread across the surface far above like delicate lace, drinking eternal light, while its trunk curved downward into welcoming embrace. The treehouse appeared as naturally as the best forts ever built, from blankets and chairs, walls of living wood woven with vines that glowed softly, windows framed in leaves that filtered underwater light into golden patterns. It was bigger inside than out, expanding to hold every game ever played. The rickety platform her father had hammered together from scrap lumber when she was 8, the playhouse where she and Sophia had held endless tea parties with invisible guests, the secret spot where she'd hidden during family hide-and-seek. Elena climbed the branch ladder easily, no fear of heights, only the familiar thrill of ascent. Her sister scampered ahead, pigtails flying, calling back, "Hurry, Ellie, it's ready!" The boy followed with Teddy Bear clutched tight, his laughter bubbling through the water like rising joy. Inside, the floor was carpeted in soft moss that felt like the backyard grass of every perfect summer day, releasing scent of pine needles and sun-warmed earth. Cushions shaped themselves into perfect seating, oversized for adult reminiscence, small for children's games, all holding the particular comfort of forts where the world couldn't reach. Memories played on the wooden walls like gentle films. 9-year-old Elena with her father measuring boards too short, but nailing them anyway, laughter echoing as the treehouse leaned charmingly. Sophia at 4 helping paint, with more on her face than the wood, declaring it the Castle of Queens. Quiet afternoons where Eleanor had retreated alone after hard days, finding solace in heights. The treehouse adjusted perfectly, a table appearing with crayons that drew pictures coming alive, shelves holding toys from every generation, dolls with yarn hair, wooden trains that chugged on invisible tracks, stuffed animals that moved with gentle life. They played without hurry, her sister organizing a tea party with cups that filled themselves with imaginary treats, tasting real. The boy building block towers that grew taller than the branches, Elena joining with the particular joy of adult rediscovering play. The upside-down oak hummed softly around them, branches swaying in water currents that rocked the tree house like a cradle. Birds nested in the leaves above, singing melodies of childhood songs, Twinkle Twinkle from bedtime rituals, silly camp tunes from family vacations, the made-up rhymes Elena and her sister had whispered in hospital beds. No falls threatened, no dusk ended play. The tree house held eternal afternoon, games stretching luxuriously, stories told without bedtime curfew, quiet moments of simply being high above earthly worries. Eleanor felt her heart lighten completely. The child who'd dreamed here, the mother who'd built here, the woman who'd needed this refuge, all one in this perfect now. They lingered until contentment settled deep, the tree house glowing brighter, as if pleased. When they climbed down, the branches folded gently, ready for whoever needed childhood heights next. They were home. And the tree house, gentle, generous, and built in upside-down branches, waited to hold every adventure ever dreamed. The kitchen where supper was always ready bloomed with the scent of every perfect meal ever shared, wrapping Eleanor in warmth that felt like coming home after the longest day. She stepped through the cottage door, with her sister skipping ahead, the boy trailing with Teddy Bear, drawn by aromas that carried specific memories. Roast chicken crispy from her mother's oven, mashed potatoes creamy with real butter from Sunday dinners, apple pie bubbling with cinnamon from Sophia's baking lessons. The space expanded perfectly, counters glowing with readiness, a long table set for family gatherings large or small, oven warm though no fire showed, pots simmering gently with whatever nourished most. Plates appeared as they entered, her mother's blue willow pattern with the tiny chip from the day they'd laughed too hard at supper, mismatched ones from their first apartment where love made every meal feast. Supper arranged itself, chicken golden and fragrant tasting of family holidays, green beans snapped fresh from eternal gardens with the particular snap Sophia loved, cornbread warm from the skillet like grandmother's recipe passed down through whispers. Elena settled at the table, chair shaping to her exact comfort, her sister climbing up beside with shining eyes. The boy took his place opposite, Teddy Bear propped like guest of honor. They ate slowly, food tasting deeper with every bite. Chicken carrying quiet persistence through lean years, potatoes rich with every ordinary evening when presents made abundance, pie sweet as Sophia's first successful crust. The kitchen held them gently, light, from floating lanterns shifting to perfect intimacy, windows showing garden views where ingredients grew eternally fresh. Conversation rose without pressure, her sister sharing recipes from her waiting years, the boy discovering flavors with wide-eyed wonder, Elena tasting gratitude for every meal that had fed more than bodies. Dishes refilled seamlessly, flavors adjusting to hearts, heartier for reflection, sweeter for joy, comforting for quiet healing. No clean-up needed. Plates slid to a sink that washed with gentle waves, counters gleaming instantly. The kitchen breathed contentment, ready for dessert or lingering talk. They rose lighter, carrying supper's warmth. The cottage glowed softly. They were home. And the kitchen, gentle, generous, with supper always ready, waited to nourish whoever felt hungry next. Plates held exactly what the heart was hungry for, not just food, but fulfillment made edible. Elena watched hers appear gently. slices of her mother's meatloaf with the particular glaze from Family Secrets, Sophia's favorite macaroni bubbling cheesy, a slice of apple pie warm as childhood kitchens. Her sister's plate overflowed with tiny sandwiches shaped like stars, jello wobbling in colors of hospital treats made joyful, cookies with sprinkles that never fell off. The boys held dinosaur chicken nuggets and fries crisp as backyard barbecues, a milkshake thick with strawberry joy. They ate without hurry, each bite carrying deeper nourishment. Meatloaf tasting of Sunday dinners where arguments dissolved over seconds, macaroni rich with Sophia's laughter during cooking lessons, pie sweet as every ordinary day made special by sharing. The plates adjusted perfectly, refilling with whatever sustained most. More pie for sweet memories, hearty seconds for reflection, gentle portions for quiet peace. Flavors bloomed specific. The salt of tears turned to joy in every bite. Sweetness of forgiveness in fruit fillings, warmth of presence in every crust. Her sister giggled at a sandwich that changed flavors mid-bite, from peanut butter to jam to the particular tang of childhood favorites. The boys' nuggets roared softly when bitten, releasing bursts of light that tasted like adventure. Elena's meatloaf carried her husband's quiet, pass the gravy from countless suppers, pie holding Sophia's, one more bite, Mum. The table held them in perfect circle, plates glowing warmer with shared joy. No waste, no want, plates emptied contentedly, dissolving into light when hearts felt full. They leaned back satisfied, carrying nourishment that filled beyond stomach. The cottage hummed gently. They were home. And plates, gentle, generous, holding exactly what the heart hungered for, waited for whoever needed their particular fulfillment next. The porch with rocking chairs faced the light that lived beneath the lake. Chairs arranged in loose circles, inviting rest without demand. Elena stepped out with her sister and the boy, drawn by the particular rhythm of rocking that had soothed every hard day. The porch wrapped around the cottage like arms, floorboards warm pine remembering every evening footfall, her mother's steps calling her in from play, Sophia's patter chasing fireflies, quiet walks with her husband watching stars. Chairs appeared perfectly shaped, one deep for Elena's frame with the curve her back had always needed, a small rocker for her sister that moved itself gently, another for the boy with arms just right for Teddy Bear. They settled without words, chairs beginning to rock in perfect harmony. No push needed, only the gentle motion matching heartbeats. The light faced them, golden green columns dancing across the lake bed, filtering through water into patterns that told quiet stories. Sunsets from earthly porches, dawn light on kitchen tables, twilight skies holding every perfect evening. Rocking carried them through memories, childhood evenings with her mother discussing nothing and everything, Sophia's small body curled in her lap during thunderstorms, husband's hand steady beside hers, watching grandchildren play. Her sister rocked beside, pigtails swaying, small feet kicking in contented rhythm. The boy leaned back with eyes half closed, teddy bear rising, falling gently. The porch held them perfectly, rails glowing with lantern light, vines climbing with flowers releasing evening scents, jasmine from summer nights, lavender from bedtime rituals, night blooming serious for rare wonders. No mosquitoes bit, no chill came, only perfect balance of motion and light. Conversation rose softly or settled into silence rich as the glow. The chairs rocked them through deepening peace, light shifting colors to match. Rose for love persisted, amber for ordinary joys, indigo for eternal rest. They lingered until contentment settled deep, chairs slowing to gentle sways. The porch breathed with them, content. They were home. And rocking chairs, gentle, generous, facing the light, waited to hold whoever needed their particular rhythm next. Sunsets lasted as long as wanted to watch, stretching luxuriously across the lakebed sky without fading. Elena sat on the porch with her sister curled beside, the boy leaning against her legs, Teddy Bear watching too. The light shifted slowly, deep rose bleeding into amber, then indigo, colors holding every earthly sunset, the one over their childhood lake, with parents hand in hand, Sophia's first beach, sunset with waves whispering promises, quiet evenings with her husband where sky painted their love. No rush to dark, the sunset deepened richly, inviting gaze without end. Each hue carried specific peace, rose for passionate beginnings, amber for ordinary middles made sacred, indigo for gentle completions that led to new dawns. Fish leapt in distant arcs, scales flashing sunset colors across water. Upside-down trees silhouetted gracefully, branches swaying like dancers in slow motion. Her sister pointed to patterns. "That one's our house," rose cloud-forming familiar shape. The boy saw dinosaurs in amber swirls, Teddy Bear nodding agreement. Elena felt time dissolve. No hurry tonight, only perfect presence watching beauty unfold endlessly. The sunset responded, lingering on hues that healed, the exact orange of Sophia's birth sunset, deep purple of her sister's last earthly day, transformed, joyful. They watched in silence rich with wonder, chairs rocking gently in harmony. Sunsets here weren't endings, bridges to deeper light, reminders love persists through every fade. When they finally turned inside, colors held steady, ready to resume whenever hearts called. The porch glowed softly. They were home. The kitchen where supper was always ready bloomed into fuller warmth as more family drifted in from the garden paths, drawn by the scent of every perfect meal ever shared across lifetimes. Elena watched chairs appear seamlessly at the long table, her mother settling with the particular grace of hands that had fed generations, her husband materializing at the head with eyes holding every quiet evening they'd shared, Sophia grown, yet carrying the same mischievous smile from childhood suppers. The space expanded without effort, counters glowing with abundance, roast chicken crispy as her grandmother's Sunday best, the glaze her mother whispered about over steaming pots, mashed potatoes creamy with butter, churned from cream they'd all gathered in dreams, green beans snapped fresh with the snap Sophia loved from backyard harvests, cornbread golden from skillets that remembered cast-iron mornings, apple pie, bubbling cinnamon from orchards where her sister had picked the first fruit in waiting years, plates refilled with whatever nourished deepest. Elena's held meatloaf. Her husband had pretended to love, though it was her comfort food, from lean times. Sophia's overflowed with lasagna from birthday experiments that always leaned but tasted of family laughter. Her mother's plate featured bread, still warm, yeast rising with hymns hummed softly. Her husband's steak, rare as fishing trips where they'd caught their own. They ate in unhurried rhythm, passing dishes that never emptied, laughter rising gentle as steam, stories weaving between bites like threads in a quilt. Her mother recounted victory gardens during wartime, hands shaping soil into sustenance. Sophia shared school lunches packed with notes of encouragement now revealed as lifelines. Her husband described quiet suppers after long days, presents more filling than food. The boy drummed fingers on the table, Teddy Bear propped beside like honored guest, his plate of dinosaur nuggets roaring softly with each bite, releasing light bursts tasting of backyard barbecues. Her sister giggled at jello stars wobbling in hospital colors made joyful, spoons stirring patterns that spelled forgiveness. The kitchen held them in golden embrace, light from floating lanterns shifting to candle-soft intimacy, windows framing gardens where herbs grew eternal. No arguments over portions, no worry of leftovers spoiling, Food nourished souls first, bodies second, flavors blooming with gratitude, chicken carrying persistence through illness, pie sweet as Sophia's first "I love you, Mom" over dessert. Conversation deepened without pressure, her husband admitting fears he'd hidden during her grief, Sophia confessing teenage rebellions born of love's safety net, her mother revealing quiet prayers over every meal for daughters scattered by time. The table adjusted, lengthening for embraces mid-story, warming where tears of joy fell upward into light. Dessert appeared unbidden, pie slices cooling with steam forming hearts, ice cream scoops never melting, fruit salad bright as garden abundance. They lingered, bellies full yet light, hearts overflowing. The kitchen breathed contentment, pots simmering for whoever arrived next. Supper, always ready, loved the main course. They rose lighter, carrying warmth that filled beyond plates. The cottage glowed, garden calling softly. They were home. And the kitchen, gentle, generous, supper eternal, waited to feed souls hungry for reunion. Plates held exactly what the heart hungered for, transforming ordinary meals into feasts of fulfillment that fed deeper than flesh. Elena watched hers shimmer gently. Meatloaf slices her mother shaped during lean years, glazed tangy with secret Worcestershire from whispered recipes. Beside it, Sophia's lasagna, bubbling mozzarella strings like childhood hugs layered with ground beef from backyard barbecues where laughter seasoned everything. Her sisters overflowed with star-shaped sandwiches, crustless as hospital whims made playful, Jell-O in rainbow layers tasting of stolen spoonfuls from cooling bowls, cookies sprinkled eternal without crumbling. The boys' nuggets roared with each bite, dinosaur shapes releasing golden bursts of barbecue joy from family cookouts, fries crisp as freedom after school, milkshake thick strawberry pulling memories of porch shakes shared with Grandpa. Sophia's plate bloomed lasagna-rich as her first kitchen triumph, Elena guiding small hands with ricotta, saw simmering stories of "we can fix this together." Her husband's steak, rare perfect from fishing dawns, potatoes loaded with every shared spud from Victory Gardens. Her mother's bread steamed hymns into air, slices buttered thick as forgiveness for sharp words over suppers long past. They ate in sacred slowness, flavors unfolding layers, meatloaf carrying her father's quiet pride at table ends, lasagna Sophia's teenage "sorry mom" baked in apologies, nuggets boys' innocent trust in abundance, unending, plates refilled intuitively. More lasagna when Sophia lingered on memory's warmth, extra cookies for sisters' giggles turning to tears of joy dissolved lightward. The table cradled them, wood grains glowing family trees, knots from arguments mended over seconds, smooth expanses of harmonious meals, rings from glasses raised in toasts eternal. Conversation wove between bites, Sophia confessing hidden heartaches, eased by packed lunches notes, husband revealing silent vigils during Elena's grief, fed by imagined suppers, mother admitting prayers kneaded into dough for daughter's safe returns. The boy drummed rhythms on plate edges, nuggets dancing alive briefly in playful bursts. Sister's Jell-O wobbled shapes, spelling "love you" in translucent script. No scraps wasted, plates absorbed remnants into light, nourishing garden roots above. Dessert cascaded, pie wedges, cinnamon hearts bubbling, ice cream scoops, flavors shifting mid-spoon, vanilla ordinary turned rocky road adventure. Hearts filled beyond bellies, rising lighter, plates dissolving shimmering thanks. The kitchen hummed satisfaction, counters gleaming readiness. They were home. And plates, gentle, generous, heart-hungry, fulfilled, waited to nourish whoever arrived next. The porch with rocking chairs faced the light living beneath the lake, chairs circling loosely like arms inviting rest without demand. Elena stepped out barefoot, sister scampering ahead to claim her small rocker, boy following with teddy bear flopping joyful. The porch, wrapped cottage like eternal embrace. Floorboards wide pine warm recalling every evening tread. Mother's call-in steps from twilight play. Sophia's patter, firefly chasing. Husband's steady homecoming gait. Chairs shaped intuitively. Elena's deep-curved back support whispering hospital recliner vigils turned tender. Sister's pint-sized self-rocking with pigtail sway rhythm. Boy's armrests, teddy perfect. They settled wordlessly, chairs initiating gentle rocks, no push, only heartbeat sync motion, soothing souls. Light danced columns golden green across lakebed, filtering memories, earthly porches, sunset watching handclasp, dawn kitchen glows coffee shared, twilight skies stars emerging family named, rocking wove them through time, Elena mother nursing, Sophia storm night's lap cradle, young girl sister pigtails, father push swings, grandmother years grandkids knee perched stories, sister kicked legs giggling, chair matching playful tempo, boy leaned teddy propped, eyes half-lidded wonder. Porch held perfectly, rails vine-woven lavender release, lanterns floating heartbeat pulse, floor glowing footfall history. No chill nipped, no dusk hurried, balance motion light eternal. Conversation bubbled soft, sister recounting waiting picnics, garden planned, boy discovering chair, magic, self-sway, Elena tasting porch peace dissolving drive-off regrets. Husband materialized rocker beside, hand, knee finding familiar. Sophia joined opposite, head shoulder resting like childhood thunderstorms. Light shifted hues healing. Rose, love, persisted hardship. Amber, ordinary joys, sacred made. Indigo peace, understanding, past. Fish leapt distant arcs, scales sunset mirroring. Lily pads drifting porch view gentle. Chairs rocked deepening peace. No tire, only fulfillment presence. Sunsets lingered above surface hints. Columns rippling gratitude. They lingered contentment deep. Chairs slowing sways invitation inside. Porch breathed family rhythm. Garden calling soft. They were home. And rocking chairs, gentle, generous, light-facing, waited rhythm hold, whoever needed next. Sunsets lasted as long as wanted, stretching luxuriously lake-bed sky across without fade. Elena porch sat sister curl beside, boy leg-lean teddy watch, husband hand clasp, Sophia shoulder rest. Light shifted slow, deep rose-bleeding amber indigo, hues holding earthly sunset every. Childhood lake parents hand clasp, Sophia first beach waves, promise whisper, husband quiet evenings, sky love paint. No dark rush. Sunset deepened richly, gaze inviting endless. Each hue, specific piece. Rose passionate beginnings, amber ordinary middles, sacred made. Indigo gentle completions, new dawns lead. Fish, distant leaped. Scales, sunset colors across water. Upside down trees, silhouetted graceful. Branches, dancer sway, slow motion. Sister pointed patterns. Our house, rose cloud, familiar shape. Boy dinosaurs, amber swirls spied. Teddy agreement nod. Elena time dissolve, felt, no night hurry. Only presence beauty unfold endless. Sunset responded, lingering hues heal. Sophia birth exact orange. Sister last earthly deep purple joyful transform. Silence rich wonder, chairs rocking harmony gentle. Sunset's endings weren't. Bridges deeper light, reminders love persists fade through every. Husband temple kiss, eyes every season hold, beautiful as you. Sophia hand squeeze, like your smile mornings. Sister yawned content, boy eyes flutter dream edge. Sunsets held perfectly, warm, weightless, eternal. Inside turned finally, colors, steady resume heart call whenever. Porch, soft glowed, they were home. And sunsets, gentle, generous, wanted, long-lasting, waited beauty particular whoever needed next. The path led every place ever safe felt, curving garden heart unhurried, moss soft barefoot welcome. Elena stepped with sister hand, boy teddy swing ahead, circle back, husband arm link, Sophia beside chat laugh, surface warm giving heartbeat pulse embedded light, sense release, step each, childhood driveway gravel school after crunch, Sophia walk first, wobbly steps toward arms, husband quiet evening star watch hand clasp, path curved guide without force, trees line twilight shimmer, rose love persist, amber ordinary sacred, indigo peace understand. Sister skipped prince light fill, boy side paths private delight discover, toy clearings favorite wait, fish streams pet leap, upside oak climb groves, main path Elena gentle held, widen reflection call, narrow intimate moment, remembered barefoot joy every, child streams rolled pants wade, Sophia shell collect beach walks, Max grief walks gentle movement need, mother materialized ahead, hand wave beckon, father porch, sit pipe vanilla smoke shapes, family trip, path adjusted mood, springy joyful step, softer thoughtful, warm cold earthly walk memory surface. Birds overhead, follow, melodies carry garden song every, mother weeding hum, Sophia grow things made up rhyme, husband watering evening tune. Stretch, shimmer embedded scenes, wedding garden aisle processional, Sophia first steps, wait arms, quiet Max grief walks, wave provide rhythm. Path held, deepening peace, no destination rush, time pass, worry, only presence perfect ways always, home lead. Clearing cottage reach porch lights glow, path curve gentle around continue wander call whenever, stepped porch barefoot unhurried, moss warm soul linger, cottage open door supper smell welcome. They were home, and path, gentle, generous, safe place every led, waited carry whoever needed particular next. The bench appeared exactly where it had always belonged, under the shade of an upside-down willow whose hanging branches trailed like gentle curtains in the warm water. Elena recognized it immediately. The park bench from her childhood, where she'd sat with scraped knees and ice cream cones, the one where she'd waited for her husband on their first date, the quiet seat by the lake where she and Sophia had shared secrets during teenage years. The wood was smooth from countless sittings, warm as sun-heated pine, shaped perfectly for 2 or 3 or however many needed to share quiet truths. She settled slowly, feeling it adjust. No hard edges, no splinters, only the particular comfort of every moment spent reading to Sophia with her head in Elena's lap. Her sister climbed up beside her, small legs swinging, leaning with the particular trust of children who know they are safe. The boy joined on her other side, teddy bear resting contentedly on the bench arm as if it too had stories to share. The bench rocked them gently, though no wind moved, slow arcs matching the rhythm of hearts finally at rest. It remembered every weight, childhood ice cream melting too fast, teenage confessions whispered under stars, quiet evenings with her husband, watching ducks on earthly lakes. The view from the bench was perfect, the garden stretching in every direction, paths curving toward private wonders, flowers blooming in colors that held specific memories, the surface, far above, rippling with ordinary light that nourished earthly growth. They sat in silence that needed no filling. The particular completeness of being held exactly right after a lifetime of holding others. Her sister's head rested against her arm, small hand finding hers with familiar ease. The boy leaned into her side, breathing steady in perfect trust. The bench held them through deepening peace, no need to shift, no ache of earthly weariness, only perfect support that said, "Rest now, you're home." Willow branches trailed across them like gentle fingers, releasing scent of specific memories. Summer evenings by earthly lakes with fireflies, quiet moments reading to Sophia while she traced pictures with sticky fingers, the particular freshness of rain on warm wood during family picnics. The bench adjusted its light, soft rose for gentle healing, warm amber for shared joy, gentle blue for peace that passed understanding. Conversation rose when needed, her sister sharing quiet truths from waiting years, the boy discovering the bench knew his favorite stories, Elena tasting gratitude for every ordinary moment spent here in earthly form. The bench rocked them through it all, slow, steady, complete. They lingered until contentment settled deep, the bench glowing brighter as if pleased with their visit. When they rose, it remained warm for whoever needed its particular comfort next. The garden stretched around them, blooming brighter in quiet celebration. They were home, and the bench, gentle, generous, and, remembering every reading, waited to hold whoever needed its particular piece next. Books that opened to the right page appeared on small tables beside lily pads and garden benches, covers glowing softly with titles that shifted to match whatever truth the heart needed most. Elena found one waiting on the bench where she sat with her sister and the boy, bound in soft blue leather with her name embossed in gold that caught the underwater light. She opened it slowly, pages turning themselves to exactly where she needed, the chapter of her sister's brief life, no longer ending in loss, but blooming into eternal waiting filled with quiet adventures. The words carried her sister's voice, small and bright, describing gardens tended in dreams, messages sent through butterflies and flowers. Another section opened to Sophia's childhood, ordinary days made sacred by presents, moments Elena had feared were too small, now revealed as vast in their love. Pages showed bedtime stories read with voices hoarse but persistent, scraped knees bandaged with kisses, quiet pride of watching her daughter grow into kindness. The book responded to touch, pages turning at the speed of reading hearts, illustrations shifting to include details only she would recognize, Sophia's particular cowlick, her husband's quiet smile during family dinners, her sister's gap-toothed grin in hospital photos, now bright with joy. Her sister leaned over to see small finger-tracing words that told of waiting years spent preparing this garden, planting flowers that would bloom when Elena arrived. The boy discovered pages about teddy bears that never got lost here, adventures that continued forever. The book held every story gently, earthly struggles transformed into deeper love, ordinary days polished into their true sacredness, quiet acts of persistence revealed as the real miracles. No sad endings, stories completed themselves with perfect grace, loose threads woven into tapestries of connection. When tears came, happy ones that needed no wiping, they fell upward into light that settled warm in the chest. They read together slowly, voices overlapping in gentle narration. Elena reading to her sister as she had in hospital rooms, the boy discovering pictures that moved with his imagination, the book adjusting font and illustrations to perfect comfort. Pages turned to future joys, Sophia's life continuing above with love, ripened by this knowing, grandchildren growing in the particular warmth of a grandmother's eternal presence. The book closed itself softly when hearts felt full, dissolving into light that joined the garden's glow. Another appeared when needed, ready for whoever sought its particular truths. They rose lighter, carrying stories completed in perfect time. The garden bloomed brighter, paths curving toward home. They were home. And books, gentle, generous, opening to the right page, waited for whoever needed their particular comfort next. The quiet room appeared when the heart needed holding without witness, its door opening gently off whatever path felt right. Elena stepped inside alone one luminous evening, drawn by the particular hush, that promised perfect solitude without loneliness. The space was simple and vast, walls that absorbed sound yet amplified inner peace, a single cloud chair shaped exactly for her, light dimmed to candles' soft glow that shifted with whatever comfort called. She settled slowly, the chair cradling her completely. No ache, no need to shift, only the particular embrace of being held exactly right after a lifetime of holding others. The quiet wasn't empty, it was full. Every moment of solitary peace gathered here and made eternal. It held childhood afternoons reading in sunbeams, quiet evenings after Sophia slept, when Eleanor simply breathed, hospital nights when silence had been the only companion. The room responded to her heart, light, warming when memories of earthly loneliness surfaced, softening when joy needed savouring, deepening when truths needed gentle space. She sat in silence that needed no filling, the particular completeness of being completely known without needing to explain. The quiet held every unspoken grief, the ache of empty nests, the weight of decisions made alone, the quiet pride of persistence no one witnessed. It transformed them gently, loneliness into solitude's gift, grief into gratitude's depth, pride into peace that passed understanding. No clock ticked. Time stretched generously, giving exactly what was needed. Moments to release what no longer served, space to receive what always had. The chair rocked her softly, matching the rhythm of breaths finally unburdened. Walls glowed with faint patterns, scenes of earthly quiet moments made sacred, reading by lamplight, watching rain on windows, breathing in hospital stillness, knowing love persisted. The quiet room held her through deepening peace, no rush to leave, no worry about others waiting, only perfect presence. When contentment settled deep, the door opened softly back to wherever love called next. She rose lighter, carrying the quiet's particular peace in her bones. The garden waited beyond, blooming brighter in gentle celebration. She was home. And the quiet room, gentle, generous, and full of everything words couldn't hold, waited for whoever needed its particular embrace next. The garden of unfinished apologies bloomed in a secluded grove where paths curved gently inward, flowers opening only when hearts felt ready to release what had been carried too long. Elena drifted there slowly, drawn by petals that glowed softly with the particular light of truths finally spoken aloud. The garden wasn't somber, it was radiant. Flowers in colors of forgiveness, deep rose for love persisted through hurt, soft white for gentle release, warm amber for ordinary days made whole by understanding. She knelt among them, fingers brushing petals that opened at her touch. Each bloom held a specific apology. The rose for sharp words during Sophia's teenage years when exhaustion had shortened patience, the daisy for moments her sister had needed more than hospital visits allowed, the lily for quiet failures of presence during her husband's final illness. The flowers responded gently, releasing fragrance that tasted of forgiveness received, her husband's quiet, "I understood," Sophia's adult, "You did your best," her sister's eternal, "I was never alone." Elena spoke the apologies aloud, voice soft in the grove's perfect acoustics. The flowers bloomed brighter with each word, thorns dissolving completely, petals unfurling to reveal tiny scenes. Sophia's hug after arguments, saying more than words, her husband's hand squeezed during hard times, meaning, "I love you anyway," her sister's smile in dreams that had carried, "I'm okay." The garden held every unfinished apology from every heart that had ever entered. Parents regretting sharp words, children wishing they'd called more, spouses carrying small hurts that time had magnified. Flowers transformed them, sorrow into beauty, regret into gratitude, silence into gentle completion. Her sister appeared beside her, small hands helping gather blooms that stayed perfect forever. The boy added, dandelions gone to seed for wishes already granted. They carried armfuls toward the picnic blanket waiting nearby, fragrance trailing like blessing. The garden of unfinished apologies, now complete, bloomed brighter behind them, ready for whoever needed its particular healing next. The grove settled into quiet radiance. They were home. And the garden, gentle, generous, and blooming with completed apologies, waited to transform whatever sorrow needed its particular beauty next. The tree that grew every toy ever lost stood at the garden's playful heart, branches heavy with treasures that had slipped through childhood fingers or been outgrown, but never forgotten. Elena approached with her sister skipping ahead, the boy running full tilt with Teddy Bear raised like a banner. The tree was vast yet welcoming, trunk strong as grandfather arms, branches hanging low enough for small hands, leaves shimmering in colors of pure delight. Fruit wasn't fruit but toys, teddy bears in every state of beloved wear, dolls with yarn hair and button eyes, wooden trains painted bright, marbles that glowed with captured rainbows. The boy reached first, small hands closing around a red fire truck, exactly like the one lost at the county fair decades later in earthly time. It was perfect, no chipped paint, siren working with the particular wee-oo of childhood rescue fantasies. Her sister climbed into lower branches, retrieving a rag doll with embroidered face their mother had sewn, lost during a move, but waiting here complete with the same slightly crooked smile. Elena watched them play, feeling her own childhood rise gentle and whole, the doll carriage outgrown and given away, the special book misplaced during college moves, the quiet toys that had held her through lonely nights. The tree responded to their joy, branches lowering gently to offer more. Sophia's favorite stuffed rabbit with one ear flopped, her husband's childhood train, set complete with whistle, marbles that rolled themselves back when dropped. They played without hurry. The boy organizing rescue missions with trucks that drove themselves on invisible roads, her sister holding tea parties with dolls that spoke in their mother's gentle voice, Elena cradling treasures that carried specific comforts, soft fur from lonely nights, smooth wood from creative afternoons, the particular weight of toys that had been best friends. The tree held every lost toy from every child who'd ever belonged here. Trains derailed in imagination, dolls outgrown but not outloved, games scattered by time now gathered complete. No sadness touched the play, only the particular joy of rediscovery, of things loved deeply waiting patiently. When they finally climbed down, arms full of treasures that never weighed heavy, the tree glowed brighter, ready for whoever needed its particular comfort next. They carried their finds toward the cottage where light glowed warmer in welcome. The garden bloomed brighter around them. They were home. And the tree, gentle, generous, growing every toy ever lost, waited to delight whoever needed its particular joy next. The library under a glass dome of water shimmered like a dream made solid, its vast shelves rising through the gentle currents without a single page ever wetting. Elena drifted inside with her sister's hand in hers, the boy trailing with Teddy Bear clutched tight, drawn by the particular hush of books waiting to be read exactly when hearts needed them. The dome arched high above, water pressing gently against glass that held without effort, light filtering through in golden green patterns that danced across endless shelves. Books glowed softly, leather spines in every color of memory, titles shifting to match whatever truth called most, childhood favorites with worn corners from countless readings, journals never finished on earth now complete with perfect endings, letters written but never sent, now answered in gentle script. A table appeared in the center, wide oak, polished by generations of elbows, chairs shaping themselves for perfect reading posture. Lamps floated at exact height, their light warm as lamplight through rainy windows during earthly story hours. Elena settled slowly, a volume drifting into her hands, bound in soft blue, the colour of her childhood bedroom walls. It opened to the exact page needed, the story of her sister's brief life, no longer ending in loss, but blooming into eternal waiting, filled with quiet adventures and gardens tended in dreams. Her sister leaned close, small finger-tracing illustrations that moved gently. Hospital beds brightened by dandelion bouquets, quiet moments of shared secrets, the particular joy of ordinary sisterhood made eternal. The boy discovered picture books that grew illustrations as he turned pages, teddy bears coming alive for adventures, trains chugging through landscapes shaped by imagination, every lost story found complete. They read together slowly, voices overlapping in gentle narration. Elena reading to her sister as she had in hospital rooms, the boy discovering pictures that responded to his wonder, the library adjusting font and illustrations to perfect comfort. Pages turned to future joys, Sophia's life continuing above with love, ripened by this knowing, grandchildren growing in the particular warmth of a grandmother's eternal presence. No book ever ended sadly. Stories completed themselves with perfect grace, loose threads woven into tapestries of connection. When tears came, happy ones that needed no wiping, they fell upward into light that settled warm in the chest. The library under the glass dome held them perfectly. Quiet amplified into peace, light shifting to whatever reading needed. They lingered until contentment settled deep, books closing themselves gently when hearts felt full. The dome glowed brighter as they rose, ready for whoever needed its particular comfort next. They drifted out lighter, carrying stories completed in perfect time. The garden bloomed brighter around them. They were home. And the library, gentle, generous, under its dome of water, waited to open whatever page was needed next. Books that flowed open to the right page drifted gently on currents that carried them to waiting hands, covers glowing softly with titles shifting to match whatever truth the heart sought. Elena watched one approach her on a lily pad table, bound in soft green leather, the color of her husband's eyes in lamplight. It opened without touch to the exact page needed, their love story no longer ending in earthly separation, but continuing in eternal chapters of quiet adventures and ordinary miracles made sacred. She read slowly, pages turning at the speed of savoring, the first date where coffee refills had stretched time, wedding vows whispered with hands trembling, quiet evenings holding hands through illness when love spoke louder than words. Her sister discovered a book of childhood tales that grew illustrations as she read, rag dolls coming alive for tea parties, teddy bears embarking on brave quests, every story they'd whispered in hospital beds now complete with perfect endings. The boy's book floated open to adventures where teddy bears were heroes, trains chugged through landscapes shaped by imagination, every lost ending found and finished with joy. The books responded to their hearts, pages turning gently when reflection called, illustrations shifting to include details only they would recognize. Sophia's cowlick in family portraits, her husband's quiet smile during hard times, her sister's gap-toothed grin in hospital photos now bright with eternal play. They read together in quiet harmony, voices soft as the water around them. The library adjusted light perfectly, soft rose for gentle healing, warm amber for shared joy, gentle blue for peace that passed understanding. No book ever ended in sorrow. Stories completed themselves with perfect grace, loose threads woven into tapestries of connection. When tears came, happy ones that needed no wiping. They dissolved into light that settled warm in the chest. The floating books held every unfinished story from every heart that had ever entered. Letters never sent, now answered. Journals abandoned mid-truth, now gently completed. Childhood tales outgrown, but never forgotten, now blooming eternal. They lingered until contentment settled deep, books closing themselves softly when hearts felt full. The library glowed brighter, ready for whoever needed its particular comfort next. They drifted on lighter, carrying stories, completed in perfect time. The garden bloomed brighter around them. They were home. And books, gentle, generous, floating open to the right page, waited for whoever needed their particular truth next. The quiet room for when you just want to be held appeared gently off a garden path, its door opening softly, like arms ready to receive without question. Elena stepped inside alone, drawn by the particular hush that promised perfect solitude, wrapped in love. The space was simple and vast, walls that absorbed sound yet amplified inner peace, a single cloud chair shaped exactly for her. Light dimmed to candles' soft glow that shifted with whatever comfort called. She settled slowly, the chair cradling her completely. No ache, no need to shift, only the particular embrace of being held exactly right after a lifetime of holding others. The quiet wasn't empty, it was full. Every moment of solitary peace gathered here and made eternal. It held childhood afternoons reading in sunbeams, quiet evenings after Sophia slept, when Elena simply breathed, hospital nights when silence had been the only companion. The room responded to her heart, light warming when memories of earthly loneliness surfaced, softening when joy needed savouring, deepening when truths needed gentle space. She sat in silence that needed no filling, the particular completeness of being completely known without needing to explain. The quiet held every unspoken grief, the ache of empty nests, the weight of decisions made alone, the quiet pride of persistence no one witnessed. It transformed them gently, loneliness into solitude's gift, grief into gratitude's depth, pride into peace that passed understanding. No clock ticked. Time stretched generously, giving exactly what was needed. Moments to release what no longer served, space to receive what always had. The chair rocked her softly, matching the rhythm of breaths finally unburdened. Walls glowed with faint patterns, scenes of earthly quiet moments made sacred, reading by lamplight, watching rain on windows, breathing in hospital stillness, knowing love persisted. The quiet room held her through deepening peace, no rush to leave, no worry about others waiting, only perfect presence. When contentment settled deep, the door opened softly back to wherever love called next. She rose lighter, carrying the quiet's particular peace in her bones. The garden waited beyond, blooming brighter in gentle celebration. She was home. And the quiet room, gentle, generous, and full of everything words couldn't hold, waited for whoever needed its particular embrace next. The garden of unfinished apologies, now complete, bloomed in a secluded grove where paths curved gently inward, flowers opening only when hearts felt ready to release what had been carried too long. Eleanor drifted there, slowly, drawn by petals that glowed softly with the particular light of truths finally spoken aloud. The garden wasn't somber. It was radiant. Flowers in colours of forgiveness, deep rose for love persisted through hurt, soft white for gentle release, warm amber for ordinary days made whole by understanding. She knelt among them, fingers brushing petals that opened at her touch. Each bloom held a specific apology, the rose for sharp words during Sophia's teenage years when exhaustion had shortened patience, the daisy for moments her sister had needed more than hospital visits allowed. the lily for quiet failures of presence during her husband's final illness. The flowers responded gently, releasing fragrance that tasted of forgiveness received. Her husband's quiet, "I understood." Sophia's adult, "You did your best." Her sister's eternal, "I was never alone." Elena spoke the apologies aloud, voice soft in the grove's perfect acoustics. The flowers bloomed brighter with each word, thorns dissolving completely, petals unfurling to reveal tiny scenes. Sophia's hug, after arguments saying more than words, her husband's hand squeezed during hard times, meaning "I love you anyway." Her sister's smile in dreams that had carried "I'm okay." The garden held every unfinished apology from every heart that had ever entered. Parents regretting sharp words, children wishing they'd called more, spouses carrying small hurts that time had magnified. Flowers transformed them, sorrow into beauty, regret into gratitude, silence into gentle completion. Her sister appeared beside her, small hands helping gather blooms that stayed perfect forever. The boy added dandelions gone to seed for wishes already granted. They carried armfuls toward the picnic blanket waiting nearby, fragrance trailing like blessing. The garden of unfinished apologies, now complete, bloomed brighter behind them, ready for whoever needed its particular healing next. The grove settled into quiet radiance. They were home. And the garden, gentle, generous, and blooming with completed apologies, waited to transform whatever sorrow needed its particular beauty next. The tree that grows every toy ever lost stood at the garden's playful heart, branches heavy with treasures that had slipped through childhood fingers or been outgrown but never forgotten. Elena approached with her sister, skipping ahead, the boy running full tilt with teddy bear raised like a banner. The tree was vast yet welcoming, trunk strong as grandfather arms, branches hanging low enough for small hands, leaves shimmering in colors of pure delight. Fruit wasn't fruit but toys, teddy bears in every state of beloved wear, dolls with yarn hair and button eyes, wooden trains painted bright, marbles that glowed with captured rainbows. The boy reached first, small hands closing around a red fire truck, exactly like the one lost at the county fair, decades later, in earthly time. It was perfect, no chipped paint, siren working with the particular Wii U of childhood rescue fantasies. Her sister climbed into lower branches, retrieving a rag doll with embroidered face their mother had sewn. Lost during a move, but waiting here complete with the same slightly crooked smile. Elena watched them play, feeling her own childhood rise gentle and whole, the doll carriage outgrown and given away, the special book misplaced during college moves, the quiet toys that had held her through lonely nights. The tree responded to their joy, branches lowering gently to offer more. Sophia's favorite stuffed rabbit with one ear flopped, her husband's childhood train set complete with whistle, marbles that rolled themselves back when dropped. They played without hurry, the boy organizing rescue missions with trucks that drove themselves on invisible roads, her sister holding tea parties with dolls that spoke in their mother's gentle voice, Elena cradling treasures that carried specific comforts, soft fur from lonely nights, smooth wood from creative afternoons, the particular weight of toys that had been best friends. The tree held every lost toy from every child who'd ever belonged here. Trains derailed in imagination, dolls outgrown but not outloved, games scattered by time now gathered complete. No sadness touched the play, only the particular joy of rediscovery, of things loved deeply waiting patiently. When they finally climbed down, arms full of treasures that never weighed heavy, the tree glowed brighter, ready for whoever needed its particular comfort next. They carried their finds toward the cottage where light glowed warmer in welcome. The garden bloomed brighter around them. They were home. And the tree, gentle, generous, growing every toy ever lost, waited to delight whoever needed its particular joy next. The playground where children never grow tired appeared at the garden's joyful heart, paths curving gently towards swings that rose into twilight sky, and slides that curved like laughter made solid. Elena drifted there with her sister skipping ahead, the boy running full tilt with Teddy Bear raised like a flag of pure delight. The space was vast yet intimate, swings hanging from nothing visible yet strong as love's quiet promise, slides spiraling down into soft sand that caught every landing perfectly, merry-go-rounds spinning at whatever speed joy demanded. Slow for gentle wonder, fast for breathless giggles. The boy reached the swings first, climbing onto one that adjusted perfectly to his height, seat cradling him with the particular comfort of every playground swing ever loved. It began to move without push, gentle arcs at first, then higher as his laughter rose bright and clear. Her sister joined on a swing beside him, small legs pumping, with the particular energy of childhood that knows no limits here. The swings responded, rising higher than earthly physics allowed, yet with perfect safety, sky opening to reveal stars that arranged themselves into playground shapes, jungle gyms of constellations, slides made of light. Elena settled onto a swing that appeared gently for her, seat shaping to the exact curve of adult wonder, rediscovering play. The motion began slowly, rocking her like the porch swing where she'd pushed Sophia decades ago, then higher as joy bubbled up unbidden. They swung together in perfect rhythm, the boy's delighted whoops, her sister's giggles bright as bells, Eleanor's laughter deep and genuine, the particular sound of adulthood remembering how to fly. The swings carried them through memories made visible, childhood afternoons reaching for sky, young mother days pushing Sophia higher while her daughter begged again. Grandmother years giving gentle underdogs to grandchildren who squealed with pure trust, no fear of falling, only perfect freedom. The swings held them gently, chains strong as love's persistence, seats cradling every weight with equal care. Other children drifted in, those who'd arrived young or never crossed at all, joining with joyful abandon. The playground expanded perfectly, more swings appearing, slides lengthening for longer rides, teeter-totters balancing without effort. They played without tiring, swings soaring into twilight that caught them gently, slides spiraling through currents that tickled like friendly hands, merry-go-rounds spinning with laughter that made the very air shimmer. The playground held every childhood joy eternal, scraped knees that never hurt here, games that never ended at dusk, the particular magic of ordinary play made boundless. When they finally slowed, swings settling into gentle rocks, the playground glowed brighter, ready for whoever needed its particular joy next. They drifted on lighter, carrying laughter that lingered like the best dreams. The garden bloomed brighter around them. They were home, and the playground, gentle, generous, where children never grow tired, waited to delight whoever needed its particular freedom next. The cafe with tables set for conversations you always wanted appeared at the garden's quiet edge, its windows open to water that glowed softly, tables arranged in perfect circles for intimate truths. Elena stepped inside with her sister and the boy, drawn by the scent of coffee that knew exactly how hearts liked it, strong for reflection, sweet for gentle healing. Tables were set for 2 or 3 or however many needed to share what earthly time had rushed, small round ones for deep confessions, longer ones for stories that meandered, cozy booths for quiet revelations. A table appeared for them, set for 3 with a booster for her sister, Teddy Bear's place of honor, beside the boy. Coffee arrived in mugs painted with specific memories, Elena's with the chipped rim from her first apartment, her sister's small with cartoon characters from hospital gifts. The boys with dinosaurs roaring gently. The coffee tasted of conversations finally possible, the ones cut short by earthly hurry, the truths too tender for rushed moments, the quiet gratitudes never quite spoken. They talked slowly. Her sister sharing waiting years' stories of garden adventures planned for this reunion, the boy discovering words for wonder he'd felt but never named. Elena tasting gratitude for every ordinary conversation that had built their love. The cafe held them perfectly, light shifting to perfect intimacy. Windows showing garden views where flowers bloomed brighter in response to shared truths. Conversation deepened without pressure, apologies gently offered and received dissolving like sugar, gratitudes blooming like steam, quiet understanding settling warm in hearts. Other tables filled gently, family drifting in for their own conversations, Sophia appearing across from Elena with coffee tasting of adult daughter truths, her husband joining with the particular warmth of shared silences finally explained. The cafe adjusted perfectly, tables expanding for growing circles, coffee refilling with whatever flavor the moment needed, light softening for tender truths. No interruptions came, time stretched generously, giving exactly what was needed for every conversation always wanted. When hearts felt full, mugs emptied contentedly, dissolving into light that settled warm in the chest. The cafe dimmed gently, ready for whoever needed its particular comfort next. They rose lighter, carrying conversations completed in perfect time. The garden bloomed brighter around them. They were home, and the cafe, gentle, generous, with tables set for conversations you always wanted, waited for whoever needed its particular warmth next. Coffee that tastes like Sunday mornings arrived in mugs that never cooled, steam curling upward in perfect spirals that carried the particular scent of every slow weekend dawn shared with loved ones. Elena lifted hers carefully, the mug painted with scenes from quiet kitchens, sunlight slanting through windows onto newspaper pages, her husband's hand reaching for hers across the table, Sophia's small feet swinging from a booster seat as she colored while waiting for pancakes. The first sip tasted of specific Sunday mornings, the quiet after church when worries felt smaller, the lazy ones after Sophia's sleepovers when cartoons played and coffee stretched luxuriously, the gentle hospital dawns when a warm cup had been the only ordinary thing left. Her sister sipped from a small mug that tasted of the rare Sunday visits allowed in hospital, hot chocolate disguised as coffee with extra marshmallows dissolving into sweetness. The boy's mug overflowed with chocolate milk that carried the particular joy of weekend treats after chores, steam-forming dinosaur shapes that roared softly before dissolving. They drank slowly, coffee adjusting perfectly, stronger for reflection on hard Sundays survived, sweeter for celebrations of ordinary abundance, gentler for quiet healing of rushed mornings regretted. The taste carried deeper nourishment. Forgiveness for Sundays when tiredness shortened patience, gratitude for presents that had made ordinary mornings sacred, joy for the particular ritual of shared silence over steaming cups. Conversation rose gently around sips, her sister sharing waiting Sundays, spent preparing this perfect coffee, the boy discovering flavors of weekends without end, Elena tasting every ordinary dawn made eternal by love's quiet persistence. The cafe held them in golden embrace, light from floating lanterns shifting to perfect Sunday glow, windows showing garden views where herbs grew for eternal brews. No rush toward Monday came, only perfect presence in the particular warmth of Sunday mornings made boundless. When mugs finally emptied contentedly, dissolving into light that settled warm in the chest, the cafe dimmed gently, ready for whoever needed its particular comfort next. They rose lighter, carrying the taste of Sunday mornings eternal. The garden bloomed brighter around them. They were home, and coffee, gentle, generous, tasting like Sunday mornings, waited to warm whoever needed its particular comfort next. The window, that shows the ones still waiting above, appeared gently in the cottage wall, framing a view not of the garden, but of earthly life, continuing in soft focus. Eleanor approached slowly, drawn by the particular light that held both worlds without separation. The window wasn't glass, it was love made visible, rippling gently like the lake's surface far above. Through it she saw Sophia, grown, radiant, carrying the particular grace of a daughter who'd learned love's persistence from her mother's example. Sophia sat at their old kitchen table, coffee steaming in Elena's favourite mug, eyes bright with tears that were not sorrow, but gratitude. She looked up as if sensing the gaze, smiling the particular smile that had carried Elena through every hard thing. The window responded to Elena's heart, zooming gently to show details. Sophia's garden blooming with flowers Elena had taught her to plant, grandchildren playing with toys that had once been hers, quiet moments where Sophia spoke of her mother with love that bridged worlds. Her husband appeared in the view, waiting above in his own perfect time, sitting beside Sophia with the particular steadiness that had anchored their family. He lifted a hand in gentle greeting, eyes holding the quiet promise, "I'm here too." Soon. The boy pressed close, teddy bear raised, to wave at figures he recognized from stories. Her sister watched with shining 5-year-old wonder, understanding in ways only eternal children can. The window held everyone still waiting above, lives continuing with love, ripened by this knowing, ordinary days made sacred by the quiet certainty of reunion. No ache of separation touched them, only the particular piece of perfect connection across the thinnest veil. Elena pressed her hand to the window, feeling warmth flow both ways. Sophia mirrored the gesture from her side, palm to palm though worlds apart, love bridging perfectly. The view shifted gently. Sophia teaching grandchildren to bake with Elena's recipes, quiet evenings where stories of grandma in the garden brought comfort, ordinary moments glowing with the particular light of love that never ends. The window promised gentle visits, moments when she could drift upward to watch or whisper or simply be present in ways earthly separation had limited. They lingered until contentment settled deep, the window dimming softly when hearts felt full. It remained, ready for whoever needed its particular comfort next. They turned back to the cottage glowing warmer in welcome. They were home, and the window, gentle, generous, showing the ones still waiting above, waited to hold whoever needed its particular bridge of love next. The moment you realize you can visit any time settled over Elena like the gentlest dawn, warm and certain as the first sip of coffee on a day with no obligations. She stood by the window that showed Sophia's earthly life, continuing in soft focus, feeling the truth bloom quiet and complete in her chest. The garden wasn't a final destination, it was home, eternal and perfect, yet permeable. She could drift upward whenever love called, through the surface into ordinary air, lungs adjusting without effort, presence wrapping around Sophia, like the particular comfort of a mother's hug that never truly left. The realization carried no urgency, only perfect freedom. She could stay immersed in the garden's wonders for as long as her heart needed, tending flowers that bloomed with specific memories, reading books that completed unfinished stories, rocking in chairs that held every ordinary evening made sacred. Or she could rise gently, visiting Sophia in quiet moments, sitting unseen at the kitchen table during Sunday breakfasts, walking beside her in dreams, wrapping love around ordinary days that felt extraordinary now with this knowing. Her sister watched with shining eyes, understanding in ways only eternal children can. The boy pressed close, teddy bear raised as if waving to figures above. The garden responded, flowers blooming brighter in celebration of perfect choice, paths curving toward the surface for whenever a scent called, lily pads drifting upward like gentle elevators. No pressure touched her, only the particular piece of perfect belonging in both worlds. Love held everything, the garden's eternal completeness. Sophia's earthly journey ripened by this quiet connection. Eleanor felt her heart expand to hold both. The joy of presence here with family already gathered, the gentle anticipation of visits above. She pressed her hand to the window again, feeling Sophia's life pulse warm and full. The visit could be now or later or always. Time here served love without limit. The cottage glowed behind her, garden stretching endless and intimate. She was home, completely, perfectly, and she could visit any time, carrying the garden's peace into ordinary days above, returning whenever love called her deeper. The moment held them gently, complete without ending. They were home. And the realization, gentle, generous, and full of perfect freedom, waited to settle in whoever needed its particular piece next.